Live from twitch.tv and youtube.com, it's Vtuber Talk. Today's guest is Luna. And now, because somehow technology works, here's your host, Jay. Hello and welcome to Vtuber Talk. I'm your host, Jay, and thank you so much for joining us today. Those of you who haven't been here before, Vtuber Talk is designed after classic late-night talk shows. Everything here is live, casual, and the goal is to simply have fun conversations that will entertain people who are already familiar with the guest while still being accessible for new fans. Please welcome my guest for today, Luna.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, and those of you who frequent Luna's streams, as I get the feeling that a good number of you do based on the emotes I'm seeing in chat, you might notice that she looks a little bit different than usual, that we're going with sort of a retro look today, because as we were setting up the stream, we discovered, the model's not loading in. Maybe it's an internet issue. And then, Luna, what was the size differential from VTube Studios' maximum file limit for your model?
So VTube Studios' maximum file limit is 300 megabytes for a VTuber model. Mine is 303.
Just a little bit over, just enough. Nope, not gonna let it through. Can't do that.
I'm so sad. I have to go to this one.
Yeah, could have chopped off the toes or something.
I considered removing an entire texture, maybe. I did consider it.
Well, we were, close to time. It was like, we always build in a little bit of buffer time for tech tests and whatnot. But I do think that in 193 episodes, this is the first time where it was like, model is beyond file limit, and obviously don't want to have you potentially break something in your model.
Yeah. It's very much mainly because my model is a bit of a nightmare case. I talk about it a lot, but you can see with my model, it's got the very starry texture.
Yeah, I love the wing effect. It's so good, but I have to imagine that it's rather intensive on the resource and file size.
Yeah, I think my textures are like somewhere in like the 8K region, like 8K by 8K region. And it's that multiplied by about 8 different textures. So, it's ends up being a very, very big file.
Very chunky file, very robust file, but a very well-made file because you are both the artist and the rigger.
Actually, this one I am not the artist for. I have drawn my own models in the past, but this model is drawn by one of my good friends since even before VTubing, Queenie.
Ooh. Oh, my apologies, Queenie. Very good job.
Yeah, nah. It's she's always been, my dream model artist, really. So it was very nice when I was able to finally go up to her one day and be like, "Hey, I want to commission you."
Also, I realized I sort of jumped into everything. I didn't even give you a proper chance to introduce yourself. And like I said, while it seems like most folks in chat are familiar with you, for anyone who might not be.
Yeah, well, hi, I'm Luna. I'm a Moondragon VTuber artist, live 2D rigger, bit of a singer, kind of a jack of all trades, really. I give my shot at a lot of things.
And I'm so happy to have you here today. And that you and I have both been around in the space for a while. And it's just, I always say I will never run out of VTubers to talk to. And I'm really excited to be able to finally have you on the show. And we were able to chat earlier in this week. We went over a couple of things. And then this morning, you messaged me like, oh yeah, there was this one other thing I forgot to mention, randomizers. And I'm actually curious, obviously randomizers are a really big thing. They're a pretty broad umbrella, but still a newer thing in gaming as a whole, that, these types of mods and just the ability to have a randomizer isn't something that was possible for games really 15 years ago, and especially in the past 5 years, they've become a lot more accessible in just a lot of different games. So what type of randomizers do you enjoy?
It's really interesting because I started out with Hollow Knight as my first dip into randomizers. But then it kind of came from watching my friends playing it, but I kind of branched off into the Zelda games, mainly Majora's Mask, which is basically where I got my start, because it was like, Majora's Mask is one of my favorites Zelda games ever. And I know the game really, really well. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's give it a shot. And it ended up taking over my life. It's very, very fun. And then I played Ocarina of Time, and then rinse and repeat. So I've kind of become a bit of a Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time randomizer person.
Yeah, I didn't actually grow up with an N64. N64, I think, was one of the first consoles I played. I played a lot at friends' houses, cousins' houses, but that first one I owned was a GameCube. So naturally, Zelda being a one-player experience, I wasn't able to play them much until I got a GameCube, which meant that I started with Wind Waker, and I've gone through most of the ones since. And you've been playing, if memory serves, you've been playing through Twilight Princess, and it's your first playthrough of that one that, for having played Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for a while, that you didn't get around to Twilight Princess until recently.
Yeah, so it's a bit interesting. I'm a Zoomer. So my first big console, not including my first handheld being the Nintendo DS, my first console was the Nintendo Wii. So
well, it's only one after the GameCube, so yeah, it is very begrudging how old the Wii is at this point. Because I too am one of those folks that was like, oh, the Wii is very recent. The Wii is a modern console. And then you look at the timeline and realize, oh no.
It's retro. It's retro.
I don't want to get old.
Yeah, the Wii, I didn't really have too many games on it. A lot of my I was a bit restricted on what games I could play. And it was one of those, I need to convince my parents that it's something that I can play with my siblings type thing. So Mario Galaxy was one of them, Mario Kart, the, Wii Sports Resort, Wii Play, all those fun, tech demo type games. It was one of those I had to kind of be like, yeah, this is for everyone type thing. So Twilight Princess ended up not being something I could really convince them with. But it's fine, because instead I got to play other games like Brawl, which is actually really where I got to know about the Zelda series in the first place, because I saw Link in that, and then teenage me was like, wow, he looks so cool. He looks really cool. And oh no, he looks attractive.
Smash was where I first learned about Link as well, and this was for N64 Smash, because, like I said, while I didn't own one, I played a lot at friends' houses, and obviously Smash multiplayer game, that was one that, even though I didn't own Smash 64, I played a lot of it. So I feel like it's actually really cool to think about how many Nintendo franchises probably made it to the West simply because of their inclusion in Smash Brothers. And I think that's why they started putting a lot more in, because, well, there's a giant asterisk on Mother and Earthbound, because despite being there since the very first one, NES has still never had a proper release on any game in the West. But that Legend of Zelda, it had obviously been quite big in the West, but I feel like for younger kids at that time, like you and me, that was going to be that first introduction to Link and Zelda for Melee. And then I feel like that was also probably the window that let Fire Emblem into the West, because there was Marth and Roy in Melee. And that it was then Sacred Stones on the Game Boy Advance. And now Fire Emblem is a mainstay Nintendo franchise globally, not just in Japan.
Yeah. And it was also just a really golden time, I guess, for Nintendo, because we had stuff like Club Nintendo as well, where, you buy games, you get points, you can then use those points to, buy stuff on the eShop, which is actually how I got Majora's Mask.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They still have a sort of different version of it nowadays. I don't use it as much, but they have something.
Yeah, because what they currently have, it's My Nintendo, and like with that, it's really nice because you can still get stuff like physical rewards, which is really, really cool. It's thankfully not lost that much, but it's lost the ability to buy stuff like games, especially because they've kind of axed gold points. So it's they're slowly kind of phasing out the gold points part, but I really do hope like the use platinum points to get XYZ reward does remain, because there's been some really good stuff I've been able to get from there.
I still have the Majora's Mask sort of a satchel bag. I forget when it's from, but it's probably 15 years old at this point. But
oh my god,
because I remember back in the day for Club Nintendo, it was, I think, 30 points for a DS game, 50 points for a GameCube or a Wii game. In that if you got 300 points in a year, you would get automatically a silver reward. And that if you got 600 points in a year, you got a gold reward. And that would just be, they would send it to you for free in addition to whatever you actually spent the points on. And that the 600 point one year was for this Majora's Mask sort of satchel bag. And it's what I still use today. That I don't go to card shops as much, but if I do, that's what I usually put my decks or my deck box in. And it's nice. And I think one year they had the Mario Galaxy soundtrack. They had some good stuff.
Yeah, I really envy one of my friends who he has the Mario Galaxy soundtrack, like the physical thing, and I'm just there like, you have to give that to me. So it's kind of like this agreement we've made that whenever we get to finally meet up in person, he is giving that to me.
I can't remember if I actually earned enough for that one or if I just bought it off of eBay. Because it wasn't too expensive at that point. I think I had like 400 points that year, so I didn't have enough, but I think I got it for like $30, which not terrible because it was like the complete soundtrack was really good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared to look up how much it is nowadays, though.
Yeah. One of the things that I still have from the Club Nintendo days is it was this little drawstring pouch. It's just a really simple, blue drawstring pouch. Inside it's like gray and it's got a little Club Nintendo little patch on the corner of it. I just use that to put my 3DS in, and it's just really nice.
Yeah. Like you said, they still have some physical rewards nowadays. They even have sort of quests that, if you play a certain amount of things and whatnot, that there's even ways to get points without spending money, which wasn't actually an option back in the day. So it's nice that they've had a couple of improvements, even as obviously just as many rewards programs over the years have sort of tightened the belt, as it were. But Nintendo's isn't the worst out there. Not the best, but I'll give them a little bit of credit.
Yeah, I am an avid person of repeatedly saying that Nintendo, as much as people dog on them, they are the lesser of the three evils.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to be said.
I just looked up the Club Nintendo soundtrack because now remember there was two versions of the soundtrack. There was the normal one, and then there was the special edition, which was the Club Nintendo one. And that one goes between $50 and $100 US. So not cheap, but not crazy. Yeah.
The thing, my perspective is kind of skewed because in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for that soundtrack they released a special edition, and the special edition only had about 2,000 to 2,500 copies printed.
Oh, jeez.
And it is a USB stick in the shape of you've seen Pyra, her core crystal on her chest.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, only 2,500 of them printed. So as you can imagine, it goes for a lot. I think it's about 1,500 USD last I saw. So 50 to 100 for a soundtrack is honestly not bad.
Well, it's not quite that fancy. It's, normal CD case, and that it has it's sort of like a platinum cover art as opposed to the gold cover art of the standard release. And that I think it was 2 CDs and the normal one only had a single disc. So you get objectively more, but if you're getting that physical USB, that's almost a prop at that point. That's really cool. I'm actually trying to look that up as well, because that just sounds really neat. But 2,500 limited run, that the platinum thing was, I think they printed however many people earned those My Nintendo points, and probably some amount of extra, but it was not a numbered, certainly not under 5 figures release. So yeah. Was there any other way to at least get the soundtrack, even if it wasn't on that USB? Okay. That makes it a bit better.
Yeah, you can buy the soundtrack like very easily, but like there was a lot of really cool stuff that came with it, including sheet music for the title screen.
Oh, and, I'm a sucker for sheet music.
Yeah, and special art with it. It's not the one that bricks your PC. That's the Xenoblade X
Wait,
USB.
what?
Yeah, so they did it twice, where they released a USB that has the soundtrack. Xenoblade 2 had the really cool one. Xenoblade X just has one that bricks your PC for some reason. I don't know why. But
someone didn't do any testing. Like that, what a nightmare scenario. Oh my gosh. Like, just from their standpoint, from the developer's standpoint of, it's not just, okay, like the files are corrupted and the release went poorly, that the thing didn't actually have the soundtrack. It bricked their PC.
It did have the soundtrack from what I know. I don't know the specifics on how it breaks your PC, but I know that it is really bad. It's really bad. It's a really cool piece of merch to have, but it's just, don't actually plug it into your PC.
That's just, whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I've did a quick little search. This is from 10 years ago on Reddit, our Nintendo. Warning, don't run the program on the Xenoblade Chronicles X OST USB drive. It has broken and buggy DRM and edits the registry.
There it is.
It mounts the encrypted file on the Y drive, then edits the group policy for your computer to block system access to the drive, then edits the registry to hide the drive. It does not revert these changes. You will not be able to use the Y drive letter until you revert things. And considering a lot of enterprises use X, Y, and Z for map network drives, don't try listening to this at work. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Oh man, I don't know what they were thinking.
Like, do you end up getting lawsuits from that? I don't want to.
I don't know.
You could do I kind of want to see a documentary on this now, but
same.
But I'm not surprised that of all things that you pull out the Xenoblade reference, because anyone who knows you are a big Xenoblade fan. And
Yeah.
I feel really bad that that's one of the franchises that has just sort of eluded me, that I've known about it for ages. I've known the music because I'm really big into video game music, and that I would have friends, even back in college, who would recommend ones to me, and that Xenoblade came across my radar, like, back in college, late high school, so I know the music, and I know it's very good, but I guess just, because back then, when was the first Western release of a Xenoblade game?
It was on the Wii. It was, I want to say 2010. That might be a bit off. That might be a bit off. I don't remember. 2010 in okay.
2012 in North America, it seems. And I think that was just a combination of, since it wasn't a big name yet, that it just sort of went under my radar there, and that I've sort of just continually missed it. And it's been one of those things that we live in such a wonderful age of media that there's so many things to play and see and watch that everyone has their list of, oh, I know I need to see this series or play this game, and that for every one thing that you cross off of your list, 5 more get added. And Xenoblade is one of those that is just sort of wound up in perpetual sort of holding pattern hell on my list. And it's one that is slowly nudging its way up, that I am going to eventually get off my butt and play those games. Where would you suggest that someone who is new to Xenoblade start? Is it okay to just start in the most recent one, or is there an older one?
You start with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition, and then just play 2, and then play 3.
Okay, so it is a continuous development of the world and story. It's not like a Final Fantasy where I don't need to play Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 to play 15.
Yeah, it is not a Final Fantasy situation. It is very much a continuous story. But thankfully, it's not one of those things where you need to play Takashi's older games like Xenogears and Xenosaga, which is nice. But yeah, no, it's very much play one Definitive Edition, 2 plus its DLC, and 3 plus its DLC, and you just get a really amazing story.
And Definitive Edition was released, I think it was re-released recently on the Switch, right?
Yeah, so it came out on the Wii, and then 1DE came out after Xenoblade 2 got released. But the really fun thing about 1DE is that it added an epilogue story that was scrapped for the Wii version, which is really, really cool. So we get some nice post-game content as well.
Nice. And they recently announced the next Xenoblade, if memory serves, because I think that was in...
Yeah.
If it wasn't the most recent Nintendo Direct, it was the one right before. It was sometime in the last 6 months.
It was the most recent Direct.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the most recent one. I remember that vividly.
And how long has it been since the last one? It's been at least a handful of years. It's not quite as slow as Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts fans, as of time broadcast.
Xenoblade 3 came out 2022, and then it had a DLC in 2023.
Okay, that's not nearly as bad as I thought.
Yeah. And then they also released Xenoblade X for the Nintendo Switch the year prior, so I think 25? Yeah, 2025 I think we got Xenoblade X for the Switch too. Switch, rather.
Yeah, I just found a release timeline. Yeah, it was 2025. Good memory.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be next year, 2027, for Xenoblade Genesis. Interesting that they are now moving away from Chronicles. So I'm guessing this indicates sort of a new chapter or era?
Yeah. All we've been told is that Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3 is its own saga. I can't call it what it is because that's a spoiler. But it is its own trilogy. And Genesis is stepping into something new.
Okay, so it's probably for folks like me who missed Chronicles to be able to hop in without having to play necessarily the 3 original games.
Maybe, because Takahashi is doing a very funny thing where he has slipped in references to his other games
I'm sure, yeah.
into stuff.
I
And we
bet
don't
that
know
they're
how much
making
it
it
prevails
so.
with the plot.
'Cause my guess is that they'll probably put in stuff that rewards longtime players, that there will be references and things that if you know, and that the story will hit just a little bit harder, but that it will then be accessible to folks who haven't played it, but still be, if you know that it's even deeper. But even so,
Yeah.
I definitely want to play, but I do know also they are not short games.
Yeah.
I should get to that, and because I've only recently started actually playing games on stream. For a while I was playing Blueprints. I've been playing a fair bit of Slay the Spire 2 and a couple others, and I've been deciding what the next one will be for me, and current plan is Outer Wilds, but that one's not too long. It'll probably take me a couple weeks, but then afterwards I might look to play a bit of a meteor game, and Xenoblade Chronicles might be an interesting one to go with, because that'll actually get me off my butt to do it.
Yeah. It's definitely a hard one to stream, because there's definitely, especially in 1, there is a lot of farming you need to do in that game, a lot of grinding for levels. I struggle with 1 a lot because I'm very spoiled by 2's leveling system, which kind of reduces a lot of the grind, but also has a lot more intuitive combat. So I really like the combat of 2 a lot more than 1 and 3.
Do you think it would be worthwhile? I guess, how much would I lose if I were to watch, like, not a short video, but I'm sure there's some pretty extensive lore videos available on YouTube for Xenoblade for the entirety of the series, but do you think it would be worthwhile, if there's that much grinding in 1, to watch a video on 1 and start playing on 2?
No. There is... Like, if you were to only be able to choose 1 Xenoblade game, I would say play only 2. But if you want to go through the entire franchise, you kind of have to go through, playing through all of them, because there's a lot of stuff that you just will straight up miss. A lot of little dialogue from NPCs that talk a lot about the world that you just kind of miss, and even side side characters that won't get featured in cutscenes. You miss out on all that.
Oh dear, this is a terrible thing you've done to me, Luna. Now, I'm looking at this and no, this sounds really good. This sounds really good, and certainly I've had others over the years tell me and sort of evangelize Xenoblade Chronicles, and that it's sort of hitting that critical mass point for me. It's like, okay, I really shouldn't, especially with Genesis coming out. It's like, okay, I kind of want to be able to do that before Genesis, so now I have that more active motivation to get it done. But I'm also now looking up at this very large mountain of, oh dear, I need to scale this mountain. But
yeah,
for you, what made you... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, funnily enough, Xenoblade, like me getting into Xenoblade was completely an accident.
Oh?
I originally, the day when I bought Xenoblade 2, I wasn't in the game store there to buy it. I was there to buy Bayonetta 2 and 1, because that had come out fairly recently, and I had wanted to check it out for a while. But when I checked the shelves, they did not have it, and I was way too socially awkward to ask an employee. So I looked through the games, and I had heard really good things about Xenoblade 1. And the second game had come out, so I was like, maybe we check out the second game. I've not heard much about it. I had seen Pyra and Mithra as spirits in the game, in Ultimate rather, and maybe we check it out. So then I ended up buying the game, and then I played it, and it
was all over.
Changed my life.
I had that with the Professor Layton series back in the day, that I can't remember what I was looking for, but I know I wasn't looking for Layton, and that they didn't have what I was looking for, and it was just the person who was working at the game store said, "Oh, if you like that, you should try Professor Layton." And I had seen it on the shelves for a while and had heard of it, but had never actually played it. And that's one of just my favorite franchises of all time. And I am patiently, but slowly becoming impatiently waiting for New World of Steam.
Oh, hopefully one day.
It was supposed to be last year, and then they changed it to this year. And now they've been like late this year, and like, okay, please, like, you know, I'm fine waiting. We've waited 10 years for a new Layton game. If I need to wait another 6 months, fine. I just want to. We've seen gameplay, we've seen videos, so we know it exists, and it's just this slight worry of, okay, it looks fine. What's keeping it from getting out the door?
Oh, hopefully not a Dragon Quest situation. Dragon Quest 12, I think it was. Where recently it came out, they were like, okay, yeah, by the way, we are completely scrapping everything and restarting from scratch.
What?
Yeah, that happened.
I don't want to think about what has to happen for that to occur. That's scary. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, I missed out on Xenoblade Chronicles, but I'm trying to get around to it. What was it? You mentioned that the reason you didn't get around to Twilight Princess was just when you had the Wii initially, that you were getting more multiplayer ones for you and your siblings. What was it that made you finally decide, oh, I should get around to Twilight Princess?
Funnily enough, it was really just that the recomp came out recently, and I was already in a bit of a flow of playing through a bunch of the Zelda games. So I had absolutely gone through Majora's Mask plenty of times, so much so that my community is probably sick of it by now. And then I finally played Ocarina of Time for the first time last year, which was really, really fun. There was also Skyward Sword, the Nintendo Switch release for that. That was phenomenal. One of the best, if not the best, story in Zelda. I also
you think
streamed
Skyward
Tears of
Sword
the
was the best story?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I
want to wrap back to that in a minute,
hard.
But I'm gonna you finish the rest of your thought.
Yeah. I also streamed Tears of the Kingdom when that came out, and Wind Waker, and then after Wind Waker, I was like, yeah, you know what? If Dusklight comes out like soon-ish, I will stream it. And then it came out, and I bought a GameCube controller, and I played it. I started playing it, and I've been enjoying it.
I will say that for me, Twilight Princess is one of my two favorite Zelda games of all time. The other being Breath of the Wild. And I say they are my two favorites because they are so vastly different. It's just difficult to really compare them. That you have the open world of Breath of the Wild, the control system is very different. Arguably, Twilight Princess is a more quote-unquote classic Zelda style, but that for me, I love the world there. I like the story there, and that you're not done with the game. You're getting toward the late game, though, if memory serves, though, correct?
Yeah, I am pretty sure I'm in, like, fairly late game area.
Without going into spoilers, I will say that Twilight Princess has my favorite final boss sequence of any game in the franchise.
Ooh.
And that, it is not a spoiler to say there's different phases of the final boss sequence, as there are in basically every Zelda game past the first.
Yeah.
But that the sequence and the way that it plays out, both thematically, visually, and theatrically, is just unparalleled in my opinion. It's so good. I'm very excited that, please ping me when you think you're getting to that stream, because I've been tuning in every so often and be like, yeah, she's at that part. I love this part. But I want to see you get to the final boss and play through that sequence.
Will do.
But when it comes to story, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm very excited.
Yeah. What about Skyward Sword's story resonated with you that for all the others? Because I don't feel like there's really any bad stories in Zelda, but that a lot of people usually will hold up Majora's Mask or other ones. I don't know many that point specifically to Skyward Sword, and I'm not saying that's a wrong opinion, but I'm curious, since I will say it is not the most common opinion, what really resonated for you?
For me, it was Link and Zelda's dynamic, and especially in the final third of the game is where it really got me. Of Zelda kind of laying it all bare, just everything she tells Link about the whole truth and all that, and her apologizing, that absolutely destroyed me, and I just felt so bad for her. And then the end of saying goodbye to Fi, that also just really got me, because I guess not playing the Wii version where they had the pop-ups for items every single time you reset the system, I think that helped me not hate Fi as much as a lot of people did.
Oh, that's right. They did fix that good.
Yeah. So I didn't really hate Fi. I honestly did get a bit attached to her. And in the similar vein, I don't hate Navi. Navi was actually really helpful when I played Ocarina of Time, so getting attached to Fi was not hard for me, and I bawled like a baby at the end of Skyward Sword because of that. Because the characters are all just so emotive. They're all so full of life, and I love even just the side stuff, like Groos's character development, realizing that in the end he is just his role is best to assist Link. I love that for him.
Bruce's arc is, I think, the best part of Skyward Sword, in my opinion. It's something that
so good.
You don't really get in any other Zelda game, and that, what I will say, I hadn't really thought about it much until now, but Skyward Sword was the first time that you really have Zelda and Link interacting in a significant sense, because obviously, usually the setup of most Zelda games is, well, Zelda is gone and we need to find her and possibly save her, but she ends up almost always contributing and providing you with something that makes it so she saves you in a way, which is nice, but that the interaction between the two characters is minimal, if really anything, and that it's usually only in the last sequence that you would get that. But you have it, even if infrequent, you have those beats throughout in Skyward Sword, and you get that more in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, albeit in flashbacks, but that you still have that interaction. But that it was really for that first time in Skyward Sword. So I can definitely see that. For Fi, the problem I had with Fi was it was written like someone would write a computer or artificial intelligence character 15 years ago of, I calculate there is a 99.728% chance that this thing of just like, okay, we don't need random percentages and probabilities and very blunt statistics to be reinforced that, yes, you are a computer-esque program, and the just almost they almost made it like they were trying to be comical of how inhuman Fi was, but then also be like, oh, Fi is definitely like has human elements and that there is this personality there, while they're constantly hammering you over the head with these very unnatural things. And I just found it kind of annoying, and it wasn't that I disliked Fi, I disliked Fi's writing.
I guess for me, especially coming from, because before I play Skyward Sword, I play, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, which has a lot of, high-tech-esque aspects. I guess Fi's writing, just in general, it didn't really bother me. I didn't really have too many, I didn't really have too many issues with her writing, personally.
Because I didn't have a problem that she was technological in that way, because you are right that technology, and especially in Breath and Tears, plays a very big part, and especially in Tears. I guess it's just like I said, the general affect of the stats and the tone felt unnecessarily artificial, perhaps. But meh.
That's fair. That's fair.
But that as a character, I think Vi still has a lot to offer, and that, obviously the ending there is very bittersweet. And I'm going to wait to ask you your opinions about Midna until after you've beaten the game. Because her story is incomplete, and that, I feel like if I had asked you about Fi before the end of Skyward Sword, that you might have still liked Fi, but that when you have that type of finale and resolution for a character, it can create those different emotions. So I'm going to wait for you to see the rest of Midna's story and how all that goes before asking you. But I will be curious once you've finished Twilight Princess again, your opinions on all that.
Yeah.
And the people in chat, not one word, anybody. Are there any other Zelda games left to play after this one? Are there any left on the list of... there's a lot of games, and I wouldn't say that you necessarily need to go out of your way to replay or to play Phantom Hourglass, for example. But I don't know if there are any that you're planning on playing in the future.
My plans are hopefully either later this month or like early September. I will hopefully be getting my my 3DS capture unit. So hopefully I'll be able to play Link Between Worlds, because that's one that I've seen virtually nothing about, especially compared to even just the little tidbits that I've seen of, all the other bigger Zelda games. Link Between Worlds is just one that I didn't really see much of, so I really do want to try it out, see what it's all about.
Same for me. So I will be. You'll have to tell me then if I need to go out of my way for that one, because it was out sort of in the later part of the 3DS's life cycle, and that I forget if there was another Zelda game that had come out a bit more recently, but I very much agree with you that it felt like it was... It wouldn't be right to say it was an under-the-radar release. It's still a Zelda game, but it didn't feel like a mainline one.
Yeah. And to be fair, I guess that's also because... God, when was Breath of the Wild announced in relation to that? Because that's something I'm curious about.
Announced versus released.
Because that was definitely like this long spread of time where, we would get a bunch of spin-off-y stuff, and to kind of fill the void of, no releases of quote-unquote mainline Zelda stuff. We had stuff like Triforce Heroes.
Link Between Worlds was released November 22nd, 2013. And then... Oh, interesting. It was released in Australia November 22nd, 2013, and it didn't make it to Japan for a month. December 26th, 2013. Breath of the Wild was announced June 10th, 2014, so almost exactly 6 months afterwards.
Okay.
But I can see that I think you're probably right of Breath of the Wild being announced pretty hot on the heels of the release of Link Between Worlds may have taken some of the air out of the room on that.
Yeah. Either way, I'm excited to try it out. I do also want to give some of the DS games a shot, mainly Spirit Tracks, because that was the other game that I played in my childhood out of the Zelda games. Because it was only Majora's Mask and Spirit Tracks that I got to play. and Majora's Mask was the only one that I actually finished. So I want to go back and actually finish Spirit Tracks.
I will say I think Spirit Tracks is just my outright least favorite Zelda game ever. It's not bad, but I definitely prefer Phantom Hourglass over it. I think the key part of Spirit Tracks that just misses for me is the game is figuratively and literally on rails. There is no exploration allowed because you can't go off of the tracks. That in every other Zelda game, you're at least able to walk through the field and wander around and find and discover things. But Spirit Tracks it becomes a rail shooter between the different areas. You can't really explore. You can't go around and look at the scenery. You can't get lost. You can't even really stop on the tracks and just sort of take in the space. And I think that removes a really key part of what makes Zelda as a franchise.
Okay.
And that it's still good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say don't play it and it's a bad game. It's not worth the time. But that for me, it ends up being the weak one for that reason. And that Phantom Hourglass, you still get the exploration, at least of the sea, that you can be going around and trying to discover the different islands. But also at the same time, Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass are shorter games. So I think they are worth the amount of time they take to play and time investment. I think that if either of them were to have been the 50, 60, 70 hours that a mainline game was, that it would suffer a lot more. But they're solid for what they are and weak when stacked up against, admittedly, some of the best games of all time. So that's not a huge knock on them. But I suppose that I say it sort of from a expectation setting standpoint, that go in understanding that these aren't that level, and I think you can still absolutely have a fun time with them.
Yeah. I'm definitely curious because I don't actually play many, if at all, any rail shooters. So you know what? Maybe something new for me, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was nice that they let themselves use that cel-shaded style. That it's not what I want in all of my Zelda games, but I think that it was a fun place for the franchise to go, and it certainly made sense to use that on the DS, which was just a little lower processing power, and that way they weren't trying to, what would have almost inevitably been lower quality graphics and animation if they had tried to make it the quote-unquote realistic or more modern sensibility, that it let them make something that still felt very, very clean on the DS.
Yeah, it definitely translates much better. I have a similar opinion on Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Like it's a good style. But also I would not mind if they maybe leaned in a different direction for the next Zelda game, maybe, and then
wouldn't mind Twilight Princess style again. I thought that was I think that's one of the best visuals that they've had, frankly.
Yeah, but we've seen the Ocarina of Time trailer. I am
that too.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, really? You didn't care for it?
It's more. I say this as a Majora's Mask fan who suffered through Majora's Mask 3D and how genuinely awful that was. I am afraid for what they could and would do to every part of every part of Ocarina of Time, from the bosses to the dungeons to the fact that in the trailer they show Link with the Triforce of Courage on his hand when he shouldn't have it because he only gets that when he goes to the Sacred Realm. I have very strong feelings about it.
I hadn't thought about that from a continuity perspective of he shouldn't have it yet. Because Because I was already of the, all right, this is absolutely the most realistic that the character has ever looked. And that it was a little disorienting. I'll entirely give you that. But that, at the very least, I've been sort of the mentality of, all right, we get different styles of these characters pretty regularly. And that if they've chosen to go the more realistic route on this one, sure, not necessarily going to be my favorite. But like you mentioned, all right, what could they end up doing in terms of other changes? But then also the fact that it's there, that's a very fundamental issue with the story and timeline.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that you could just sort of hand wave and be like, oh, it's fate in that he might not have it, but that because the incarnation cycle, that he is always destined to have it, that even if he might not be in possession of it, that there is the echoes of it, the marking that that he is always meant to have it, and therefore that little flash is just the echoes of his past lives almost preemptively showing it. Or are they going to do something a bit more radical with the story?
Needless to say, after Majora's Mask 3D, I'm afraid, because I watched them butcher that to an almost disgusting degree.
I never played 3D, so what was so different about it?
Well, there's very basic stuff, like they moved around a lot of little tidbits, like the stray fairies in some dungeons, so my muscle memory was not liking that. There was the more major changes, such as they made Zora swimming require magic, which makes zero sense considering the Zoras are aquatic creatures and should be able to swim without the need for magic.
Yeah.
So, they made ice arrows essentially yellow painted, where you can only use your ice arrows in very particular spots where they have big shiny little sparkles that show that, hey, you can use your ice arrows only in this particular spot though, nowhere else. And the worst change, in my opinion, is for one, the bosses. The bosses having giant eyes on them, being like, hey, hit this thing, hit this giant eye that is on the hit this right here.
Here is your target. It is the eye. Hey, player, you should target the eye.
And I feel like that's sort of Zelda boss sensibility in general, but it sounds like they actively changed some bosses or added eyes to bosses.
They added these giant ugly eyes that bosses did not need, such as the giant fish that you now need to make swallow bombs so that you can expose its giant eye that is for some reason inside its mouth, which it did not have in the original because you just swim into it and burn it using your Zora magic or your arrows.
Okay, that's weird because, like I said, Zelda bosses having eyes is not a new thing. That's just sort of design, and that I regard it as sort of a quaint, iconic thing of, they usually have eyes or something, and that indicates where you need to hit them. But for them to actively change the bosses that already existed that did not have eyes to now have eyes, specifically in the 3D remake, that's odd.
Yep. And it was always a thing in the original that, you can attack these bosses however you wish. You can attack them from any spot. But in 3D, you can only attack them with this specific eyeball. This very specific eyeball. You can only attack them with that. And my second major gripe is that the Fierce Deity mask. The strongest mask in the game can basically destroy any boss, and its power has to be contained so that you can only use it during the 4 temple bosses and the final boss for very good reason. They made it so that during one of the bosses you just can't use Fierce Deity because the entire stage floods. So screw you, I guess.
I'm like, that's. I had actually not been aware of this level of changes in Majora's Mask 3D. And just mentally, I'm thinking, why? How does this end up happening? Because this is a remake, or what felt initially more like a port than a remake of just, all right, we recreated this on the DS, operating system effectively, but that it was largely branded and feels like it was meant to be a relatively close one-to-one. It doesn't feel like it was intended as a remake, that it is 3D now. So the question becomes, how do these decisions happen? And the only thing I can think of is hardware limitations or production timeline limitations, that either something about the memory capacity or controls or something fundamental on the DS hardware wouldn't work with how things were initially built, or that the timeline they had to make the game was shorter than they needed, and that these decisions were done as corner cuts, that for whatever reason, by adding the eyeball to the boss and having it be done this way means that we don't need to perhaps code the boss fight in this certain other way. I don't know. This is raw speculation on my part. I have no idea if you have any ideas, but that's sort of where my mind goes of what's the logic? And because there's always logic. Sometimes it's misguided logic, but usually there's at least a reason where on paper you can be like, okay, I disagree with that reason, or I'm upset that reason happened, but I see how it happened.
Yeah. Like my other, like my I guess assumption, or like, I guess it's mainly from Aonuma's interview, where he essentially said along the lines of the way that he phrased it was essentially not understanding why the older style dungeons were really, liked, and it kind of read as, they may not go back to the older style of dungeons. I wish I could remember the full line off the top of my head, but
which is interesting because they would no, because Twilight Princess came out before 3D, but they did have pretty traditional dungeon design in Skyward Sword, which was after that. But then obviously we have in Tears and Breath not really normal dungeon design, or at least not as frequently. So that's interesting that Aonuma's comments go that far back, because in some ways we do see that being carried out.
Yeah, and that's basically contributing to why I am so afraid for the Ocarina of Time remake. I have my hopes into the ground.
Gosh, that's so interesting. Because they just had the Star Fox remake, the fourth remake of the game at that. My sympathies to all the Star Fox fans out there who haven't had a new Star Fox game in 20 years. But that, from what I've heard on that one, at the very least, that it was largely faithful, and that any changes that were made seemed to have been received pretty well. But that I can entirely understand now, having the context of Majora's Mask 3D and just knowing that this is one of those first really major remakes we've had of, okay, what's this going to be like? So, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But regardless, I am gonna play it. I will play it, but I will absolutely have my gripes with it. If I'm gonna be a hater, I'm not gonna be a LARPer about it.
Yeah, no, we're gonna play through it, and we're probably still going to enjoy it, but it's going to be okay. Yeah. How is this held up versus the original, and if changes are made, to what degree, and how faithful do the changes feel? Because I'm fine with things being changed if it feels still in the spirit of the franchise, or if it doesn't feel like a fundamental undoing of something. Of, hey, if you want to change some of the dungeon layouts, fine. And obviously, the water temple in Ocarina of Time is infamous. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something functional to make it so it feels better. And
apparently they made it better in the 3D version.
I did hear that they made one or two mechanical changes that made it better, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did a more fundamental overhaul for the remake.
I will say, having played it in in the modern day with small little quality of life stuff through Ship of Heart and Kinian, where it makes it so that you can more easily equip and unequip your iron boots. The Water Temple is not that bad. After the third run through of the Water Temple, I know how to navigate that place front to back. It's not a hard temple.
Yeah, it does seem like it was more so a UI issue than anything.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some good changes there. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind necessarily if they redid, if you told me they're going to remake all of the dungeons ground up, it's going to still be Ocarina of Time style dungeons, but internally the maps are different, the puzzles are different, but that we're going to use the same underlying mechanic, that the weapons that you get are the same. I'd be fine with that. I think that would actually be kind of cool, that you want to just do a full-on, fresh, modern take on those dungeons, but that you keep the mechanics. I feel like I would want to pick up the same items with the same basic functions, but if you want to just redo those puzzles, redo the map, I don't feel like I have a emotional attachment to any specific Zelda dungeons map. I have an attachment to the items and the ways that I use them, perhaps to the bosses, maybe to one or two really specific rooms. I feel like each dungeon usually has one or two sort of centerpiece rooms that are usually the one that it leads to the boss of, what is this last puzzle, or what is the goal? I need to assemble or go around and collect these things. But the ones in between, none of them, I couldn't even mention off the top of my head ones from more recent Zelda games. So I'd be up for that.
Yeah.
So
just don't Breath of the Wild it really.
Yeah, and I love Breath of the Wild.
Hope.
Yeah, and I love Breath of the Wild. I think that having tons of micro dungeons and then one big dungeon at the end was a breath of fresh air, a neat change of pace. And that all the shrines, I felt, sorry, I shouldn't say all, asterisk, most of the shrines I thought had really good designs, and that it was interesting to have all of these individual puzzles that really let you do deep dives on different concepts. I don't want that for every Zelda game forever, but I think it's nice that we had it for these two games of Tears and Breath, and that obviously the sort of, it's not the crafting system. Well, I forget the technical name of, the technology system in Tears of the Kingdom, but that Tears and Breath still felt very different because the underlying tech and tools that you used were so different. But, I've had my fill with those two games. I would now like to go back to more classic Zelda dungeon design for at least a couple games. And if you want to go back to the micro dungeon design after another 2 or so games, that's fine. I'm okay going in some cycles here. I don't mind different approaches. But I agree with you. I would not want to see the Breath of Wildification of Ocarina of Time. That would feel like a betrayal of that game's spirit.
Yeah. I just want to see the return of being able to use a variety of items, like, you know, the hook shot, boomerang, stuff like that, that we've just... Like, I guess in a way, you know, you had stuff like, you know, a boomerang, quote unquote, but it didn't, you know, function the way it does in other games.
Yeah.
You know, where you actually actively use it to solve puzzles, apart from like the niche shrine puzzle.
Yeah, that Breath and Tears had a smaller number of items with greater depth to their usage, and that through the different shrines, you got to see all these different ways that you could use this smaller number of tools. And like I said, I think that's really neat. That you're turning those knobs, so to speak, of what you have as just the tools, the puzzles, the environment, and that they sort of changed the min-max on that, and that's neat. I don't mind that they went there, as long as they don't get overly comfortable with it. I want to see them turn those knobs continuously, because that's what keeps it fresh. Do you have a favorite style among the games? So, you know, set aside dungeon design, set aside the story and everything. Do you really enjoy either the cel-shaded one? Do you like Twilight Princess? Do you like more low polygon?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I think Twilight Princess is my favorite in terms of art style, but Majora's Mask's art style is also really, really good.
I would like to see them do a Majora's Mask remake, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That I'm sort of making the base assumption because Ocarina and Majora's Mask are, you know, the duology of the N64, which I would argue those two games, I think, truly solidified Legend of Zelda as a global game that even, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s, that the original Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and others, that they were successful in the West. It wasn't a case like Fire Emblem, where it had really only been in Japan and then it made it to the West later. Zelda was always here. But I think that those games, I think the N64 era really brought Zelda to the next level and solidified it as this is the series that is second only to Mario for Nintendo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's also just generally a game that has aged really well, in my opinion. It's just, you know, whenever it just has very, you know, basic stuff, even just from the camera controls, and it's like, why don't more games have this? Just a quick center the camera behind me type thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that for the sort of hyper-realistic style that they have been teasing for the Ocarina remake, in some ways, I think it would actually work better for Majora's Mask, because for the horror vibes that Majora has as a game, as an environment, that things get scarier when they seem more realistic and more like things that you recognize. And that I'm not going to say it's required. Goodness knows, it worked just fine with low polygon, but I feel like they could go some very interesting and dark places with that style in Majora's Mask that I think would actually feel even better and hit harder than what will probably happen for Ocarina.
I honestly, if they could, like with Majora's Mask lean into not explicitly like, you know, body horror-esque type stuff, but definitely like a more gritty style. If they could lean more into that, it would be so insanely good. But also they have to keep it still relatively kid-friendly.
Yeah,
I guess.
This is still a Legend of Zelda Nintendo game. They're not going to make it, and they're probably not going to push it anywhere past E10. I don't think they would even make it a T-rated game. So I don't think they do too much, but I feel like they can lean just a little bit into that creepiness. So, and like I said, sort of making the base assumption because there would have to be some very specific set of events that would cause the Ocarina of Time remake to not make a lot of money. Because people are just going to pre-order it. That we already know that GTA 6 is the best-selling game of all time. It doesn't come out for another 3 months. Pre-sales have already made it the best-selling game of all time. And that I don't think the Ocarina of Time remake is going to sell that many. I anticipate it's going to sell quite a lot prior to its actual release and be just fine and inevitably justify what I wouldn't be surprised if they are already halfway through making the Majora's Mask remake as a follow-up to this.
Maybe. Honestly, it may not actually be too hard because if they do make it, I would want them to lean into reusing character models, reusing
same engine, same models,
assets.
just like they did.
Yeah, just reuse it the same way you did with the original. And honestly, I feel like going through the effort of doing that would make it so much better.
Yeah, because that was part of the appeal of Majora's Mask, is that it was so clearly this familiar locale, and everything about the visuals was, okay, I was just here 2 years ago playing this game, and it is so different. That from both the player standpoint and the developmental standpoint, that, it's just more convenient. It is cheaper. That, fine, let's play full-on cynic, evil, greedy corporation. Go right ahead, Nintendo. Cut corners, be greedy, don't make a new system, just use the one that you made.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if they made an entirely new one, it would just feel weird.
Yeah. And, like, that was part of its charm, is, all these faceless characters in Ocarina of Time suddenly just having a lot of story, a lot of backstory to them. It was really, really nice. And even just, the unsuspecting Kuko lady becoming, Anju, who is a part of one of the most heartfelt side quests in Majora's Mask, was, it was really nice.
Yeah, and we got that, I felt, a bit in both Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom, because, once again, it was essentially the same engine. You saw similar locales, same characters.
Yeah.
And for even Breath of the Wild, that it wasn't same engine, same characters as past games, but getting to go through and see all these very familiar locales in just total disarray and destruction. In a lot of ways, I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are as scary and haunting as Majora's Mask. In some ways, I think that Breath of the Wild is actually more haunting than Tears of the Kingdom, even though Tears is sort of trying to be a greater gut punch. That I think Breath of the Wild, because it was that first encounter with them, that was such a shock to see those locales in that state. That, at least for me, those hit a little bit harder because they were newer experiences at that point.
Mm-hmm.
To hop over to one of the other Nintendo franchises that we've sort of made passing reference to, Fire Emblem, like I said, that's one that was very big in Japan, then later made it to the West. And I know you've enjoyed that, but did you specifically, you are one of 2 people of 193 on this show, Luna, to specifically tell me that you had a enjoyment of the Fire Emblem trading card game.
Yep.
How does that game get to you?
So, it's a very interesting one, because I got into the Cypher series very late into its lifespan. But the way that I had gotten into it is that I started out as, with Awakening, because that was the big one. That was the big one that got massive in the West and propelled it to a bunch of new people. It was really, really nice. And then, I played Fates as well. And then the mobile game came out, the gacha game. I got into Fire Emblem Heroes and spent no money, amazingly, but way too much time in that. And I was very committed to it, but I got to learn about all these other games in the series, including ones that had not been localized, such as Fire Emblem 4 and 5 and 6 and 3 and 1 and 2. Everything before Fire Emblem 7 that did not get localized, and thus we did not know anything about it. So that was very, very fun, but the places where it did get explored more was the trading card game, where we would get some phenomenal artworks that were illustrated by a bunch of very popular artists who were also artists of the gacha game, and they would draw up a lot of these important moments from the series, such as some major character deaths, major heartfelt moments. It was very, very nice, and around the time I had been into Pokemon, the trading card game. I didn't really get too deep into it though, because I wasn't really deep on Pokemon. I was just very much, wow, the art is nice. I really like this. I want to collect it. And then I found, Fire Emblem has its own trading card game. Wow, the art looks great. I like these characters. I would like to get more of them. And then it began. And I started buying a couple boxes here and there, opened up the boxes, started buying individual cards. Though I never actually did get into the gameplay of the trading card game. It would be fun to look into, but it's kind of impossible now though to get individual cards that would help with my decks and everything.
And certainly no active competitive scene. That the best you'd be able to do is you can probably find them on eBay and other sites, and well, they're probably not too expensive because obviously they don't have that competitive scene, and that a lot of what drives prices, unless there's some other circumstances, how playable are they, how competitive are they, and that the series actually, or rather the trading card game, ran for 5 years and had 22 sets. So it wasn't just all right, they tried to launch a thing and it flopped out of the gate and there's not many cards around. They printed a fair amount.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was so cool. It was really, really cool. But from what I did read is that they ended up scrapping it because the gacha game was also out and around, and
it was probably printing more money more efficiently than the cardboard was.
Yeah, and even then, Cypher didn't really. It didn't really go outside of Japan technically, because they never ever translated the cards and all that, and it wasn't really something that was publicly publicly announced outside of the Japanese Nintendo account, which is there's still no English Fire Emblem account.
Wait, there's still no
great.
English Fire Emblem account, period, or for Cypher specifically?
Oh, period. For Twitter announcements and stuff like that, there is no English account. There's only Japanese account.
What?
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm looking right now on my other monitor. Well, I'll be. There's Fire Emblem Heroes EN.
Yep.
They have an English account for the gacha game, but not for the series at large.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I don't know. It's honestly impressive.
That's wild.
Like, even
They have Fire Emblem
the other
Shadows.
mobile game.
Yeah, Fire Emblem Shadows is
Shadows.
that I literally searched Fire Emblem and that's the only other one that actually pops up.
I don't know. I don't know what they're on.
Also, apparently
But
Fire Emblem Shadows has, like, mouse people.
oh yeah, there's furries. I don't know. It's a mix of robots, like robot human characters, and they just then turn into animals. It's really interesting. I don't know what's happening in it. I don't know what's happening in it, but it's a game that's somehow going.
It seems to be, yeah, because there's posts from yesterday. I forgot that Shadows was even still active.
Everyone forgets Shadows is still active.
Good for them, I guess. But why not how can they not justify an English account for Fire Emblem at this point?
Yeah, especially because, like, the Japan, it's not even like, it's not even a case of the Japan account isn't, posting that much. It's posting a lot. It's posting regular teasers, character, like, profiles for the latest games. And unless you're following that account or unofficial EN accounts, you're missing out on all this great juicy info. Yeah, yeah, sure. Thank you, Nintendo.
Nintendo, as always, is just such an enigma and a case study of what are they thinking? I don't know, but boy, do they still make some really good games. Do the things in between the games make sense? Not always. Not rarely, seldom, a lot less than it should for how good the games are. But
yeah,
I guess. I'm learning so much today, Luna.
You're welcome.
And it's neat that they were able to use the TCG to convey a lot of this extra plot that they could have very easily just used it as, all right, maybe a couple pieces of character art, but that they do seem to have put in the work, and that goodness knows it is very, very difficult to stand up a trading card game. That the amount of product you have to print, the amount of advertising you have to do to cut through just so many games have tried and failed over the years to knock off Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The big three, really. And that every couple of years, you'll get a game that starts to get traction and you think, oh, is this going to be the one to maybe make it a big four or to maybe finally unseat one of these other games? And then they inevitably hit a brick wall and fizzle. And that's if they get that far to almost actually maybe start getting in, like, the approximate plane of existence of the big three. But so many just come out and that, all right, first set, we had a good amount of pre-orders, and then set 2 sold very poorly and the game is over. But the fact that Fire Emblem lasted 22 sets, that is anomalous. The fact that they were able to survive even 5 years and frankly over 10 sets is a very big success, and especially given the fact that they didn't even push global, that they kept that. I'm guessing part of the way it was able to be sustainable is the fact they didn't try global. And that by keeping it just in Japan, that they kept their costs lower. And obviously with Fire Emblem having its roots in Japan, that's probably how they were to keep it going for so long. And still, that it's neat they were able to do that. But it is also sad that the English fans weren't able to ever get any English cards.
Yeah. It's fine. I was still able to, manage through, proxy services and stuff. Get some boxes here and there, and like the really fun thing about the boxes is that it's not even like, one box dedicated to one game and all that. It's dual games. It's 2 games in the series typically thrown into there, so there is a lot of representation for a big variety of the games, and it's really, really nice. But yeah, very sad that it's borderline impossible to find now. And if you are gonna find it, you're probably paying about 5,000 a box because
At least for
out of
sealed
print.
product, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully the singles aren't too bad.
Depends where you look.
Mm,
Some singles are just outright you cannot find it. Others are on the more expensive side. I got very lucky in which one of the cards that I had been hunting for a long time I just managed to pull, which was such a that was so lucky. It was like $100 card as well.
and who was the character?
It was Deirdre from Fire Emblem 4.
Hmm. Was that an all-time favorite of yours just
Yep.
because the game was good? Did you have a particular affinity for that character or just like the design?
The game, the design, everything about Fire Emblem 4, and the fact that it desperately needs a remake because it was never released in the West, but it is one of the best stories in Fire Emblem series, some of the best tracks in the series as well. The OST is so highly well regarded, so much so that one of the tracks actually was remixed for Smash Ultimates, which is insane. They even got in, and it's really messed up that they did it because it's one of all I'll say is it's a song that plays when a character is dying.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, they went with that. Oh, that's mean. That's so mean. Because that's just targeting, especially since you mentioned it wasn't released outside of Japan. So there's just this small subset of folks because the rest of the players are going to hear, oh, it's, Fire Emblem music. That's neat. And all right, this is a fine track. And it was probably made a bit more energetic because they don't really have slow songs per se when they are remixed for a Smash Brothers game.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're one of those few players from Japan that played 4, and it was like, wait a minute, how dare you? What are you doing putting that song here? And that it's only if you know, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it was such a good song to put in as well, because I remember when we found out that song was in there, me and like the entire Fire Emblem circle that I was in was collectively just like, what is wrong with Sakurai? What is wrong with Sakurai? Why that one?
It makes you wonder, was that Sakurai's idea, or did he go to the Fire Emblem team and be like, all right, select 5 tracks that you want to put in, and that it was the internal team over there was like, all right, we're going to just totally mess with a couple of our fans. We're going to put in, we have the main theme, or you have this, that, the other, but then we're going to slip this one in, and no one's going to see it coming. Or did Sakurai himself say, okay, so I want to mess with your fans, put in just an absolute heart-wrencher of a song.
Oh, it really does feel like that sometimes, especially with like the way that Sakurai decided to go with, the spirit board. There were some very interesting choices for the spirit board.
The man knew that he basically had anything that he would want to work with because, all right, it's not a normal character, it's a spirit board. I can throw in anything I want here, an item, a character, a reference, and that I'm assuming that all of the respective developers, IP owners, whatnot, were more than happy of, okay, yeah, if you just want it for the spirit board, sure, we'll give you the asset. That's a very easy thing to do. And so he probably was just having some fun there of, okay, this is where I know I have the least amount of oversight and the most amount of control and the most amount of access, because it's really just an image. That's all I need. I'm not doing anything super active with it, but then I can have it here and have its effect be something that might be referential to what's going on and just do all that. And that's where he was able to really just have unexpected amounts of fun.
Yeah. Cut to the Mother 3 spirits on the spirit board. Mass Man was a very, very fun placement there, Sakurai.
Sakurai is just... I want a documentary about him. I want a full documentary about him of the... Well, to be fair, he's done so much and he's spoken so much publicly. The fact that he had his YouTube channel, which has done deep dives on his design philosophies, and that he's so good in the directs that so many companies wish they had someone like Sakurai that, one, okay, already a phenomenal designer, someone who's able to help create these games, but then someone who's able to actually get in front of the camera and be charismatic and explain things in this way that is just... You couldn't get a PR person to do what Sakurai does. It is so rare to find that. And just, he's such a gem. And he's also, I think, a vampire because you look at him and say, how is he, 50 or 55 or whatnot? He looks like he's 30.
He does.
But also, we know that he doesn't sleep. So that also is just confusing. And like, I feel like he could walk into Nintendo's offices and say, I want to make this game, and you're going to fund it because I'm Sakurai and I've made you billions of dollars. And that President Nintendo would be like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. We're not going to give you Smash Brothers level budget for this thing that you want to do, but we'll give you budget. Yeah, sure, fine. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. And I think that's how the new Kirby Air Ride happened. I think they say that they asked him, but I get the feeling that he kind of walked in and was like, I want to make the new Kirby Air Ride, and you're going to let me do it. But, as long as he's still having fun, happy, and healthy, just... the man could announce today that he's retiring, and nobody would begrudge him for it. But gosh, I hope we get another 20 years out of him. I should rephrase. I hope we get another 20 years of games out of him, and then that he has another 20, 30, 40 years of very happy, relaxing retirement.
Yeah, very, very much that.
One condition, work in Smash, make a new racing game about my son. Are there any games, whether they be Sakurai or others, that you want to see either remade or a series continued?
Oh boy. So, oh man, that's toughy. I don't really think I have that. But I would like to see. Honestly, I'd be fine with even just a translation port of Fire Emblem 4. That's all I want, an official English of Mother 3. But that's not happening because I have played the fan translation of Mother 3. There is no way they can port that to the West and not censor it.
Yeah, that I look at Mother 3 and I've not played it, but I know the type of stuff that it has, and it's just, it's such a interesting scenario of people have been begging for it for 20 years, and that by all rights, if it were to ever be released, it would print money. It wouldn't necessarily be Zelda, Mario, Pokemon mainline, mainstream levels of print money, but you don't need to be that deep in the gaming space to know of Mother 3, and that a lot of that obviously is due to Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But that it's just one of those games that is this very conspicuous gap in the West's catalog of the things that we've had, the games that we've gotten, that Japan had, that we never got, and that I unfortunately agree with you that we will never get.
Yeah.
That we are going, we have fan translations, and it's just going to be one of those sort of, if you know where to get it, you know where to get it, and that you have to sort of go to the forbidden texts and, scrounge around in the ancient libraries to find this renowned old text.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I feel like, you know, even if we were to get it, like, it would get, there's a fair bit of it I feel like would get censored.
Yeah.
Even if it's just little jokes here and there, little innocent jokes that just would not fly with modern day audiences.
Yeah, just
at least in the West.
yeah, a combination of cultural sensibilities and product of the time sensibilities that would make it so that you don't have the full identity of what made it so classic. On the other hand, I think Fire Emblem 4 isn't, not knowing much about Fire Emblem 4, but unless there is something there that is specific about it, I feel like that's a realistic one. That I could just see them throwing on the Virtual Console. I don't know if they would necessarily do a full-on, you know, top-down remake of it, but that feels like one that they could just say, okay, available now on the, you know, Nintendo Online Plus, and just sort of kind of shadow drop that in a random direct.
That's the fun thing, is it's available on Nintendo Online in Japan.
In Japan. So it's there. You're saying the files are there. You've already stood it up. The only thing you need to do is just translate. And to be fair, translation costs, especially in a game that is going to be as dialogue heavy as Fire Emblem, is an effort.
Yeah.
But you've already done 80 to 90% of the rest of the effort, so maybe just put in that last bit of effort, Nintendo.
Thing is, I don't even know if it's a very sensitive plot. Without getting into spoilers, one of the main driving I don't know how to describe it other than one of the main driving forces is incest.
Oh, they were cousins. Something.
Worse siblings.
No, but you know the whole wink. They're cousins, or they're really good friends. They're definitely not. There's probably no way to write around them being siblings.
It is a crucial part of the plot point. Yeah. Like, at least it's not brushed under the rug the same way as Fates. Fates was infuriating with the way it did that, and was like, yeah, no, you can choose to marry your cousin. But at least in Fire Emblem 4, it's not presented as a good thing. It literally brings about the apocalypse.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Thing. Well, oh, dang it, maybe there is a reason we haven't gotten it. That's frustrating.
Yeah. It is also just generally a really dark game, even by Fire Emblem standards.
I don't know, based on the trailer that we got recently for the upcoming one, it sounds like the new one might be pretty dark.
Maybe. I've been very careful to steer clear of the second trailer. I heard that it's
encourage
very
that. Yeah, no, that I don't like how much they showed in that trailer. I think that you have taken the correct approach and encourage you to use, you know, block terms on social media to avoid that, because
doing that.
They showed a lot of their hand.
I had that similar vibe with Three Houses. I wish that with Three Houses they never mentioned the time skip. That had been an insane surprise for people to see.
Yeah.
I wish it had done that, because the thing that I like with Xenoblade 3's trailers is that it was incredibly deceptive with everything it showed.
Like, that's what I want.
The way that it framed stuff gave us a whole different story than what we actually got, and I like that. It just showed, you know, very out of order voice lines. Showed us voice lines that did not line up with the scenes that we were
love
seeing.
that you know, they're not misrepresenting the gameplay. They're not misrepresenting the experience you're going to have in terms of mechanics and what the game is. But please, by all means, I want to be lied to more in trailers.
Yes.
I dislike how much, like, the quintessential modern example for me of you showed me the entire movie in the trailer is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh.
I was upset in the theater when it got to the late part of Act 3 where I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. I thought this was going to be like Act 2 stuff and that Act 3 would have something and that there's 10 minutes of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse, whichever one it was, that wasn't covered in the trailer. It was like, at this point, this could have been an email. You could have made it just another trailer or added in. This could have been a short at this point because I already knew everything. And it seems like they might have done a bit of that with both Three Houses and with, I forget what the name of the new one is, but
Fortune's Weave?
Yeah, Fortune's Weave, yeah. Keep avoiding it, Luna. You absolutely got the right idea. Looks like it's going to be a great game. Like, it still looks really good. It looks really cool. And the thing that they showed their hand on isn't a bad thing, that it's still exciting, but it's also like, that's really cool. I wish I had not seen that. Because it is so cool, I would have rather seen it in the game.
Yeah.
Eh.
As much as I dog on how much I despise what Three Houses did for the series, I'm hopeful for this one.
Yeah, and
if not, at least it's another tangent under my belt.
Speaking of tangents, going from games to some other media, you mentioned to me that, like, I can't even call it a series necessarily, but, Luna, talk to me about Kagador Project.
Oh, amazing that you're asking me this on August 16th, the day after what is I guess quintessentially known as Kagador Day, which is August 15th.
Oh, heck yes, this is a total accident. Legitimately, this was not planned, but I love it.
Yeah, so it's God, where do we begin? Back in the Vocaloid days, this was basically just, it started out as one little Vocaloid song project. And the fun thing about Vocaloid is you can basically get to tell a story. It started out as this really fun little story of this group of kids that had powers that made their eyes glow red, and they had different abilities like freezing people in place, essentially not quite shape-shifting, but changing illusion stuff, illusion magic, fun stuff, reading minds, and just straight up appearing invisible to others. It's really, really cool. And there was 2 albums just telling this one big story that essentially is it's all a time loop. It is all a time loop that has been going on and on and on. And it's not a spoiler to say this because it's you can't really go into the other parts of it without knowing this, because from this little song series spawned a manga, a light novel series, an anime, and a short movie. And from all that, every single piece of that media takes a completely different approach. So from what I know, I haven't actually finished the light novel, but the light novel, the manga are both bad ends from what I've gathered. The music, the Vocaloid series, goes into a good end and a bad end. And you get to see both parts of that. And the anime, we don't talk about the anime because Shaft Studios absolutely butchered what could have been something really, really good, and instead gave us an incredibly convoluted mess that included some of the worst CGI to ever exist.
Oh, that's frustrating because Shaft can do some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I think of,
I hear that all the time.
When you think of, okay, some studios are known for not doing great adaptations, or okay, this is the lower budget studio that, if you see that your adaptation is being done by this one, that you're not super happy. Shaft is pretty well respected. But, there's plenty of ones that have been bungled that Wit Studio famously bungled Promised Neverland, whereas their track record is immaculate otherwise, but somehow they just completely for who knows whatever production reasons, didn't do well with that one. And disappointed to hear that the Kagero project, it was Kagero Daze, D-A-Z-E, I think is the... No, it's just the anime route.
Anime is Mecha City Actors.
City Actors, yes.
Yeah. Also, I DM'd you what the difference between the TV airing and the Blu-ray was for what Shaft
I see. You posted... Was it you or somebody else that posted this on social media, like, yesterday?
Someone else posted it.
Okay.
Yeah, someone else posted it. Yeah.
But I saw this on my timeline just yesterday, and I was like, that can't be real, can it? This is a joke.
This is an entire 2.5-minute song that plays at the start of the episode, and it was full 3D CGI. And they didn't fix it till the Blu-ray release. So when that aired live, everyone was collectively losing it, wondering, did something go wrong? Did we look at the wrong series? What is this? No, it was right. It was the right anime. They just ran out of budget.
Sorry, I'm bringing it up so we can show it on screen because you see this happen in anime a fair amount. It's not uncommon that the broadcast version of a show will not be the same as the Blu-ray release. That given a little bit of extra time, that you will usually have scenes cleaned up, a little more detailed, the backgrounds might be a bit better, lighting might change, maybe the eyes will be slightly different in terms of the modeling. That, like I said, that's moderately common. And some cases are more blatant than others. Others are more subtle. It's pretty big when you change the main character's hair color. Which is brown hair to jet black hair, and wholly different character model of, you go from looks like sort of a teenager, you have the sort of oval shape, to looks like a child now. Very round shape. That this is fundamentally different. This feels like, okay, we made the anime in 2007, we remade it in 2025 levels of different. Because, we saw this for Fruits Basket, we've seen this for, what was it? Urusei Yatsura, Ranma Hap, plenty of others have had, the early 2010s-ish release, and then they got remade, and you see a big difference there. And that's understandable. It's been 10, 15 years, and that animation production sensibilities and capabilities have improved greatly, and that you look back on the old one fondly of, it's quaint, and it was great for then, and it was made even better now. But to know that this is a matter of months apart for objectively the same production, I guess I'm glad that they made it good in the end. I guess.
Yes. But none of the rest of the anime looks this good. That's the worst part. None of the rest of the Blu-ray looks this good.
Oh, they just sort of found one scene to put budget in, then the rest is still...
Just the beginning, of just this entire 2-minute music segment, they made look this good. And the rest still looks incredibly awful and flat. It's very, very, It did not get the budget it needed. It did not get the episode count it needed. It got Promised Neverland Season 2'd, is the best way I can explain it.
Or it got Evangelion episode 26'd.
And because of that, we've even the creator of the series has kind of decanonized the anime.
Oh my gosh.
Because the anime was meant to be the good end.
Oh
But because
no.
it did such an awful job
It
at it,
became the bad end.
Yeah. It's not even the bad end. It's just a fan thing at this point. It's just a fan thing.
It's not even
real.
an ending. It's not even the point where it's the fans saying, we choose to not recognize this, but that the creator themselves says, nah, don't worry about that. Ugh.
And now the series is stuck in this weird limbo of we don't know who has the legal rights to it, so we don't know what can be made for it.
Oh no.
At best, we have got because so fun little backstory. Originally a lot of the songs were made with Vocaloid Ear, who belongs to First Place. Who, very, very big Vocaloid. And because of that, a lot of the rights for Kaigoro Project, I guess it's because, the way that the rights of her voice are different from Krypton Vocaloids, maybe? I don't know, but a lot of the rights with the music ended up falling with First Place. That included the MVs. That included the artist who worked on the MVs. That for a while, they were not allowed to work with Jin, the creator of the series, for a couple of years.
Now, it's one thing if it's, okay, you don't have the rights to this voice because it was made with our program. Fine, we'll just redo the voice or something. Or you don't have the rights to re-release this album or this light novel, but that you still have the rights to the character so you can do anything new. But I don't know if I've heard of an exclusivity contract, or I guess probably a non-compete clause like that relative to a franchise.
Yeah,
relative to an individual where it's like, you can make other anime, you can do other projects, but you can't work with this person specifically.
Yeah, it was certainly something. It was certainly something. And so much so that during like one of the anniversaries releasing new character renders back when the rights were still in limbo, it was a completely different artist who released who worked on the character renders and the music video, which was kinda nuts to see. And I still think we don't know where the rights for the series are, but Jin seems to be releasing Miku versions of the songs, which
okay,
is
so
we have
Signs of Life. We have Signs of Life,
and he's also working now here and there on a couple on collaboration music, like with the artist who did art for their music video and all that. For
Okay.
unrelated songs. So
that's not bad, and that sounds like it's something in more recent years.
Yeah, that was, I think, last year, and this series has been going on since 2012, so...
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Hope. There's a chance, baby! Because, like, they still acknowledge August 15th being a very important day for the franchise, which is really, really nice. It means that, they still care for the series.
Is the significance of August 14th something in continuity, or was that the date that it was first released?
In continuity. One of the songs, which is also called Kaigoro Days, it starts up with, August 15th, 12 p.m. sunny afternoon, and then that is what basically kicks off the events of stuff. So
okay, that's the
and
opening.
every
Gotcha.
time loop has had the most significant event happen on August 15th. So it's kind of set this precedent of August 15th is a very important day.
Well, I'm my fingers are crossed for you and the Kagero Days fans. How does the series first come to your attention? Because this is definitely one that, like, the name rang a faint bell for me when you mentioned it. It was like, okay, yeah, I think I've heard about this, but it's not one that I feel has gotten a very strong foothold in the West. That, if you're really deep into the Vocaloid space that it doesn't have zero presence here. It did have these other pieces, but did the anime ever get a dub? Did the trying to see? No, okay, so it did get licensed by Aniplex of America. But did it get dubbed?
I don't think it got dubbed.
No, I'm not seeing any dub cast listed here on the wiki page. So, how did it end up getting to you?
With me, I had been getting a lot into Vocaloid at the time through one of my friends, and she was the one she gave me a list of songs at the time. I think at the time I had run into, on accident, one or two of the songs that belong to Kagero Project, but I hadn't really, drawn the connection yet that it was from one big collective series, apart from seeing one character that was in 2 of the music videos. And then I talked to my friend about it, and she was like, oh yeah, no, it's a part of this one big series, and she recommended me the anime. To which I was like, oh, okay. To which I watched the anime, and I was incredibly confused, so I ended up going back and looking into the songs, the Vocaloid songs, looking into their lyrics, and then going deep into the depths of Tumblr to find out what was going on, to which I found out, oh, there's a light novel series, and a manga has just started up. And because light novel translations were about, like, a year or 2 behind, I wasn't really all too keen on reading the light novel, so I opted for reading the manga, which volume 4 of that absolutely took a turn I was not expecting, and it was very, very interesting, to say the least. So I dipped my toes into the manga and then fell headfirst into the deep end.
Well, I'm glad
it took over my life for several years.
I'm glad that at the very least, since you saw the anime before so much of the other content, you weren't as scarred by it because you didn't have frame of reference. You mentioned it was confusing, but that you obviously still were intrigued by it enough and enjoyed enough of, okay, I want to see more of this. And that it's probably only for folks like you who started with the anime that had any semblance of enjoyment, whereas if it was release order and that you go to the anime after other things, then you might not have. So I'm glad that, we've justified the anime's existence now because it is what helped get you into the series more so. And that, obviously that was going to be the goal of the anime, that with those types of adaptations, that it's meant to help bring more people into the franchise, into the fandom, and that I hope that others were at least able to then find and experience the more strongly produced media of the series, even if they had to start with the anime, that, hey, it's only uphill from there. For someone who's just getting into the series, that if they're listening like, okay, this sounds really up my alley, I really like time loop stuff, and, well, I'm gonna avoid the anime, but where do I start? Do you just start with the beginning? Do you just go in release order?
I would say start with the Vocaloid song series. My personal order would be the Vocaloid song series, so that you get a basic grasp of what it's all about, because there's lots of intricacies that nothing else really goes into. Such as in-depth backstories for every single character, which you don't get otherwise. So it would be the first major album that has all the main songs. Then from there, the manga, because that is the confirmed first loop, I think it was. So from there, the manga. Then the light novel. And then you listen to the rest of the, all the music. And maybe watch the anime if you feel like... If you really
want that context, if you want to understand the travesty that it is, that, if you're that invested to at least be able to, like you said, that even if you aren't sure if you're going to enjoy the Ocarina of Time remake, you're going to go through it because you want to be able to speak about it with experience. That if you do enjoy Kagero Project that much and get through the others, then you might as well watch the anime so you can at least have that conversation. But
exactly.
Unless you're really into it, it's probably not where you're gonna go for the entertainment aspect or for the introduction necessarily to the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pity because I'm even looking. Teddy Lloyd did music on that apparently.
Oh yeah. That was Teddy Lloyd did a remix of the Bad End song.
It's wild to see how much Teddy Lloyd has been part of an anime over the past, well, actually like 15 years
I think that was my first
now.
introduction to Teddy Lloyd.
I think mine would have been probably Panty and Stocking.
That's the series I've not. I've heard a lot about it in osmosis, but I've never actually watched it. I don't feel like it's really my type of thing.
It is very witty, crude humor. It's not entirely crude for the sake of just being crude. It acts like it's crude for the sake of being crude while actually having something beneath the surface. But it is absolutely crude. And if that is not to your taste, then while I feel like I can say very confidently, like I said, that it is crude with intent and does some cool things, that it is not such a fundamentally game-changing, life-altering experience that if you do not enjoy the crude elements, or at the very least, if you actively dislike those types of crude elements, it is not worthwhile. If you are middling on the crude elements and you're like, I'm not necessarily looking for it, but I can live with it, I would say it's worth watching. But if it's something that's just really not to your taste, it's better than what it looks like on the tin. But it is not lying with what is on the tin.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very interesting way to present it, considering my main taste in anime is romantic comedies.
It's a comedy. It's 100% a comedy, no doubt there. And very witty comedy at times. That it's not dumb writing. I feel like it is very important to say it's not dumb crude. But that it's not very romantic either.
Yeah. Because like when it comes to my taste in anime, we have Horimiya, Clannad, Yona of the Dawn, just very much not any of that.
I want a series 3 of Horimiya, or rather, I would say I want season 2 of Horimiya, not the season 0.5 that they sold us as season 2. For those who don't know, Horimiya is a fantastic romantic comedy series where the couple gets together in, I think, episode 4. It's not a will they, won't they. It's we go through the motions of them meeting, they interacting, and they will and they do, and it's great. And season 1's awesome. And then season 2 is a bunch of side stories that canonically happens during season 1. The problem I had with it was it made season 2 feel like it just had no stakes, because I know how season 1 ends and that they're going to get through these things, and that just inevitably the stories that were being told, while still very quaint and nice, never felt like they were even capable of carrying the weight, because it wasn't even part of their main vital story, that these were just experiences they had. And I would have much rather give us all of that chronologically. I'm fine with taking 2 seasons to get to what was the finale of season 1 and just, let them have the time to go on these little misadventures. Not every day in a relationship has to be a plot moment. I loved the stories conceptually. I just felt presentation order undermined it. And I want to get a season 3 where they continue their story, because as soon as it's, all right, these are new experiences, I feel like I will just instantly be back on board again, and that the characters were just lovely.
Yeah. I feel like I did appreciate season 2 after reading the manga, because it helped me kind of treat season 2 as like, oh, okay, they're adapting, these, missing pieces, which is kind of really what it was advertised as, I guess, because that was, Horimiya the Missing Pieces is what it was explicitly called, not really a season 2.
That's fair.
But I think it is just really, reading the manga was the only thing that kind of would have gotten me to appreciate it, appreciate the way that they went about it, really, even if it's mildly unconventional.
Yeah, and that, maybe it was just the fact that it was sort of, because you are right in that I'd forgotten that it wasn't explicitly called season 2, that it was broadcast as a season in short order after the first one, that it wasn't, we took 3-4-ish years and then are doing this, that it was either the same year or, I forget, it was less than 4 anime seasons separate from the first.
I think it was like the year after?
Yeah, it might have been next calendar year, but it was approximately within a year of the original, of the first season's release. That it wasn't some very long wait or hiatus. So it felt just sort of instinctively more connected. But maybe I do need to go back and sort of rewatch with that mindset a bit more. I think part of it for me was the difference in expectation of that I had been expecting a season 2. And that maybe if I just go in knowing, okay, it's not, that I can be a bit more patient with it.
Yeah, I think that's, going in not expecting a season 2, just expecting more of the same. I sometimes that is just kind of what you need. Even with some games, I've tried to have that mindset. Going back to Xenoblade, Xenoblade X is very notorious for being different from the other games in the franchise, because it's called Xenoblade Chronicles X, so people were expecting some sort of continuation from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, because that's the game that it came out after, and then was sorely disappointed when it had zero connection to Xenoblade Chronicles 1. So it's very much the black sheep of the series. And it's also just generally really different. So a lot of my way to kind of get through the game is don't treat it as a Xenoblade game, just treat it as any other game. And that's kind of helped me get through it.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
For Horimiya, is there something about it that, obviously, it's just a very strong series with strong characters. Is there any particular element or just part of the characters that makes it particularly appeal to you among all the other rom-coms? That, I feel like we've got a lot of good ones, but what really made that one stand out?
It was very much just the fact that it was a rom-com that didn't solely focus on the love interest getting together, for one. It didn't have to rely on, the major anime tropes of teehee fall on character grab her chest type, that type stuff, which was incredibly refreshing. But it was just, it was nice to have a series that focused on these. There was a lot of quiet moments. There was just a lot of quiet moments where it was just enjoying the silly parts of a relationship, or friendships around the relationship, and also just generally watching Miyamura himself just evolve as a person instead of having, like this big harem of people wanting to be with him. Instead, it was a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's a very sweet series. It's just, like you said, it's a bit... I don't want to say it's on the slower side because that feels almost like it's... that feels like it's undercutting it because the events and things work at a fine pace. It never feels like it's slow, but that the scenes take their time to breathe, and that the events that are happening are the continuous experiences, like you were saying, of a relationship, and just it wasn't as tropey as a lot of other series. It felt grounded and realistic, and it wasn't not predictable in the sense that, it took these wild turns. It was predictable in the sense that things made sense, but it also wasn't predictable in that, first 5 minutes of the episode, I know exactly how every beat of this episode is going to go. It just felt realistic. As things play out, nothing was wild, zany, only happen in anime. It just felt, I can absolutely see this being a real couple.
Yeah, exactly.
That, I feel like it has finally become more common that it's not a, holy cow, this is the only time in 5 years where we have an anime couple that gets together, because it's become more common. I'm not going to say it's common. It's still in the minority of the
slowly but
rom-com
surely
animes,
it's happening.
But we're now getting, this nice little handful every year where it's, okay, Japan now understands, yes, indeed, there is a market for the actually go through the relationship. Will they, won't they? Certainly will always have its place in fiction, no doubt. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have those, but I'm glad that we're at least getting non-zero amounts of these.
Yeah. Because I think Horimiya came out, was it around the time that Wotakoi also came out?
That's so funny, because I was getting ready to name drop Wotakoi specifically as another one. I was just like, have you seen that one? Because if you like Horimiya, Wotakoi is gonna be right up your alley.
Yep, seen it, loved it. It was really good. I enjoyed it very much.
I'd love a second season of it. Like that's one where, heck, at this point in time, it's been long enough that if you want to show me the side stories, I will watch that and I won't be disappointed. Please, I'm willing to make this deal here.
That was another one where it was very, focusing on the quiet, very grounded, but also a little bit anime here and there, and it was fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
And I like that we had multiple couples, and that they had their very distinct dynamics, and that, for those who aren't familiar, Wotakoi, subtitle is Love is Hard for Otaku, and it's adults, that it is sort of an office romance in the sense that they meet via their work, but that the romance part is always outside of work, and that they don't, they touch on sort of the basic points of, okay, well, if we're going to be a couple, how do we interact at work? But that it's not all of the stuff is happening in the office, and that office tension is a major part of the relationship. It's that this is part of their lives. It's how they met. But the vast majority of scenes and interactions are outside the office. But they are adults, mid-20s-ish. So, not fresh out of school, but fully functional adults. And that in of itself is also just a rarity. But it's very good, and also has a very iconic opening.
Oh, I love that opening so much.
And that even if you don't remember all the opening, you remember that they had some really fluid hand motions. That just da 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 da. And I don't
remember
have
seeing
hands
just
that I
the-
can use as a microphone to replicate this, but just trust us, folks. There's some really
Yeah.
good, like, fun little hand motion dancing animations. It's very good.
I remember the days on because that was around like lockdown time-ish. I remember just on TikTok there would be a bunch of people trying to do the hand thing. It was very nice to see, and I
It
think
was,
that's actually how I learned about the series.
So I'm looking it up now. The anime ran in 2018, so a little before that, but still recent enough
Okay.
that come lockdown, that
Yeah.
would have been recent enough for it to end up having that trend. And that one was A1 Pictures that did that, and yeah, would definitely love to see a second season of that. But that's sort of the struggle of the anime fan, and it's certainly nothing new. Of whether it's a manga lore or a light novel or meant to be a game, but that it is frustrating how few complete stories we get in anime. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. As a Yo and the Dawn fan.
oh, I'm so sorry.
Fine, season 2 got announced. We don't know when, but it's announced. It's in production apparently.
Supposedly. And then you mentioned to me a series which is sort of a divergence from a lot of the others. That you mentioned that you really like Frieren, Witch Hat Atelier, which are very solid fantasy series. It's been really nice to see the resurgence of classic fantasy in anime. But then, so we have rom-com, we have, Frieren and Witch Hat Atelier aren't rom-coms, but they are, I don't know if I'll necessarily even say lighthearted series, but that they're not dark series inherently.
Yeah.
Then you also mentioned Tanya the Evil.
Yeah, that I don't even know what it is with that one. It's just a very fun watch. I found Tanya the Evil just by chance because one of my favorite artists at the time posted a time lapse. And in that time lapse, they played the opening and the ending of it for the music. And I was like, wow, this is really cool art. The music is really, really good. What is the series? And then I looked into it a little bit. And I watched that first episode and yeah, insane premise. And it also helped. it also helped that this was around the time where there was, a lot of anime at the time that I had watched was very, very tropey. A lot of ooh, tee. I was kind of fed up and sick of it. I needed something new, and that was that. It was right place, right time. And
I could see that of just
yeah.
For those who aren't familiar with the saga of Tanya the Evil, it is technically an isekai.
Yeah.
And you could say it's sort of a power fantasy in ways, but it's unconventionally so. That opening of the series, as one does in an isekai series, you have your office worker who meets their untimely end and wakes up in another world. And in this world, it is marginally parallel to our own in national and not fully political, but national wartime theater parallels. And that they are born into the body of a young girl. It's a male salaryman. That there's some initial weirdness there, and one thing I'm very happy to say, and that Luna, as you can confirm, they don't play anything about Tanya sexually.
Yeah.
Ever. It's one of those series that on paper looks like it would be would be very easy to be done in some really weird ways.
Yeah.
And that the sheer gimmick at play is you have this young girl who is very knowledgeable about warfare because, the salaryman who met their untimely end, just they as some people do, have a hobby for, military history of just like, these, everything, whether it's the battles of, Sun Tzu or whatever, Napoleon and, class battles of any nation in history of just, the strategy of it all is a study. And that was one of the things that he did outside of his job as a salaryman, and was then born into the body of a young girl. And that the wartime theater being paralleled is World War II, minus the cultural aspects, shall we say.
Yeah.
And that is another thing of them very deftly dodging what could have made the series very uncomfortable. And I will give them credit for that. That it is, okay, this is how our map is largely set up, of the placement of nations, which nations are allied with each other and which are not, and that the circumstances of why the wartime conflict was instigated is entirely different. Very just, they do not try to parallel any of the actual circumstance of World War II. They are using the map and the map alone. And that you then have the main character who is this young child and is born in what would geographically be Germany. And that, like I said, they avoid any of the actual things that would make this a very problematic series otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's kind of impressive how deftly they just
really
say,
is.
no, we're not doing that. No, like they don't even say it out loud of they're not doing it. They so clearly never even approach anything remotely resembling it.
Yeah, it's basically if Mushoku Tensei was good.
Yeah, because I bounced off Mushoku Tensei pretty quickly of just, this main character's just kind of a creep and a jerk, and I don't like him. And I don't have a problem with a problematic character necessarily. I just found Rudy annoying.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the way they tackled it in Tanya that really, really did draw me in. And just the parallels, or like the juxtaposition of tiny child being the one to to slaughter many a soldier.
Yeah,
But
and
it's also the fact that they do really well in having that play into the series where she will use her childishness to essentially manipulate people. It's really cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes is in season 1 where she's doing like this she's about to like speak on the loudspeaker towards the enemy, and her way of doing it is going like full very cutesy child voice,
Yeah,
being like
full cutesy ooh, which is not how she speaks at any other time. That when she's speaking to others in the military, she's speaking harshly, low tone, and mean. She is mean.
but then she pulls out this child voice and is like, yeah, we're about to kill you, so you best take shelter. And of course, the enemy soldiers don't take her seriously. And then she unleashes Armageddon upon them.
Yep. And
it
that
was one of my favorite scenes ever.
The facial expressions in that series, obviously Tanya's first and foremost, that there are many iconic screen captures of just this wild, wicked grin that she has.
Yes.
For other characters as well, but for her, just it is, like I was saying, she's never sexualized. at all. It is entirely the juxtaposition of this sweet, young, short child who is commanding people who are literally twice her height. And this is a young girl in parallel of those times commanding men multiple times her height because she's just that much better than them.
Yeah. Like, not even that, but also giving, like, military advice to people 3-4 times her age.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah. It's
and that,
so good.
And the people who rank above her are smart enough to understand, oh, wait, that makes sense. We've never thought about it that way, but that makes sense. Why is this child so... That's kind of terrifying. Is this bad? I don't know. We're at war, man. We've got... She's not wrong. So we're making her... I think we're making her a general. Because they just... They're smart enough to realize how smart she is.
Yeah.
Also, the music's really good.
It's so good. And then the fact that they gave us both a movie and a season 2, big joy, big happy. I am overjoyed.
I didn't even know season 2 had started airing until we spoke earlier in the week. I've only seen the first episode of season 2, but season 1 came out 6-ish years ago. It's been a while. Hasn't been an absurd amount of time, but it wasn't recent, and I'm very excited that we were getting more because, it's just, if you like a good military strategy anime, that's really what it is, and that, there's a fine enough set of secondary characters. It's not the biggest, most complex ensemble cast. It is very much centered around Tanya and really, I'd say, 2 primary subordinates. But it's really just about Tanya and the broader military theater of it all.
Yeah. Also, I got bad news. The anime season 1 actually came out 2017.
Oh,
The movie came out 2019.
Right. Passage of time, I do not like that. And to its credit, it was such high production quality then.
Yeah.
It doesn't
it's aged
look
amazingly.
It doesn't look really any different now in 2026 than it did in 2017. And that's just because the 2017 animation was so good that it looks like if you could watch season 1 today and it would still be considered an above average animation quality today. And so they didn't need to change anything. And it feels like they just picked up where they left off. They didn't miss a beat. There's not a time skip. There's not a, this is a different era or whatever. It's just, we're continuing. And I don't know why it took them this long, but production things, that's just as it goes, as we've mentioned. And hey, the fact that we got it at all and that they seem to be doing the fine on quality here, we'll take it. Hey, at least it's not, did you have to endure Devil as a Part-Timer season 2?
I've not watched that, no.
Are you familiar with Devil as a Part-Timer at all?
Not at all.
So, reverse isekai, Demon Lord is on the run, defeated, comes to our world to basically seek refuge and basically start rebuilding his power so he can then eventually go back to his world and defeat the hero. And that winds up in our world with no money, no circumstance, in the body of a teenage boy, and so gets a job at McDonald's. And it is the comedy of the Demon King being a frontline worker at a McDonald's, and the comedy therein for a couple episodes, and then eventually the hero pursues the Demon King to our world, and winds up in parallel circumstances and the comedy therein. It's very fun, very cool, and seeing the juxtaposition and just the telling of what is, a good food service comedy in and of itself with the comedy of that circumstance. And season 1 was in, I think, 2013. Somewhere around 2012, 2013. It was really fun, just 12 really solid episodes. And, it sort of left off unresolved. One of many series that, just didn't get finished. And then season 2 gets announced sort of out of nowhere, like 2 years ago. Like, okay, it's been a decade, 12 years or something. Sure, season 2, I'm on board. And that season 2, it became the most generic fantasy. Like, they completely abandoned the food service. They completely abandoned the McDonald's thing and just went into, all right, here's all of the lore and the magic and the stuff from the demon realm and whatnot dragged into our world. But it just felt so generic at that point, and that it just sort of abandoned the core concept that made it so fun. And it was just it became just another very generic reverse isekai fantasy that wasn't very good.
Man, that's a shame.
So it goes.
Yeah.
Do you have any either continuations or adaptations that you really do enjoy? So ones that might have had a longer hiatus like this, or just even if they didn't, ones that you feel took their adaptation and did it well? Because I feel like, because we had the Cognitive Project one, which obviously did not go super well. So I want to all right, let's talk about some good ones. There are some success cases here. We don't want to be negative.
Yeah. Success cases, honestly, Planet After Story. That's my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that, who I hear talk about Clannad, even they, people say, Clannad, very slow burn. After Story, next level. I'm of the group that really liked Clannad and loved After Story. It was, I will, agree, it's a very slow burn. That was back during the era where, animes were all mostly 24 episodes. Very, very, very good stuff. A lot of time to flesh stuff out. A lot of time to give a lot of characters, side characters, front-running characters, a lot of development. Everyone gets a spotlight. It's really, really nice. And After Story was great because it meant that after all that exploration, all those little side plots, eventually we just get something that we purely get to focus on the main cast. And I really, really love what they did with it. The ending that we got bawled my eyes out, and I need to rewatch it. It's been a couple of years.
That's so I will admit I have not seen or played Clannad. Obviously, I know it. That it's, I don't like sad stories.
It's not a sad story.
I could have sworn Clannad was one of the sad ones, because
nah.
Because isn't that
It's definitely heart. It's definitely got its heart-wrenching moments, but it's not a sad story.
All right, maybe it's. I must be thinking of one of the other ones, either by that.
Oh yeah.
Creator. Yeah. Who's the writer on that one? It was oh, this is gonna bother me now. Because I could have sworn...
Because they also did Air and Canon.
Okay, is it one of those then? Because for some reason I classify Clannad in the bucket of tragic moe, for lack of a better term. Canon was sad. That might be it. That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so maybe I should go and actually get around to Clannad then.
Yes.
Did you play the game first or watch the anime first?
I watched the anime first. I never had time to get into the game because around the time that I tried, I had entered university. So I lost any semblance of free time.
Ah. That's a really classic one. That one, the anime came out in trying to find because the game was 2004. The anime was 2007.
2006.
2007
Okay,
to 9. At least for the original. After Story might have been after that. Yeah. Do you remember what the first anime that you saw was that wasn't on broadcast TV?
That was Attack on Titan.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. This was the same friend who got me into Vocaloid. She was trying to get me into anime. She tried to get me into anime first, and she was like, "Yeah, you know, there's a series that started up pretty recently that I've been watching. You should check it out. It's called Attack on Titan."
Hey, I'm an Attack on Titan defender. I think that it went off the rails in the naming convention. The fact that it was Attack on Titan Final Season Part 3, the final chapters.
Yeah.
The fact that they were calling, there was Season 3 Part 2 and then Final Season Part 3. No, shouldn't just call them separate seasons or something. Stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without going into spoilers, and having not read the manga, but from what I understand, the manga and the anime endings are essentially the same. They didn't do a drastic change.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the series ended exactly in the way that is consistent with the story that was being told.
I agree.
I'm not saying that I think it's the only way it could have ended, but I will say that the ending I saw and said, yeah, that felt it.
Yeah.
I can 100% believe that was exactly the ending that the writer intended from the beginning, that they planned to do this and they planned to tell it in this way. Did it get a little bit fantastical at times? Absolutely. But to be fair, it was you look at the Titans, it was fantastical to begin with. You can't I take issue with some of the folks that say, oh, it got too magic-y or unrealistic. It was like, Titan Episode 1. I don't buy that argument. I'm sorry. We accepted from the outset here that this was not realistic. And were maybe some of the mechanics a little weird and obtuse? Maybe, but I feel like the characters throughout were consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That Eren always... the way that Eren operated and thought felt consistent and true to what he was in episode 1, and that his perspective on some things changed and his opinion on where to direct his efforts and emotions changed at times, but that the way he saw the world and the way that episode 1, he said, I want to kill all the Titans. He had a very, frankly, violent mindset. This was not someone who was very prone to peaceful methods. He was not someone who was thinking in, measured negotiations, or how is peace achievable, or how can, different options be considered. He was very, I plan to do this thing. It is very extreme, and it is going to be what I believe is right, and that he put his whole self into it. And he did that from beginning to end.
I am wholly of the mindset that it is an ending that works.
Yeah.
And if people were expecting a different ending where maybe the circumstances turned out a bit different, no. That was, in my opinion, there was no way there was going to be an ending where...
If you think this story had a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
This is Attack on freaking Titan. Half the reason that it was so shocking and drew people in was because it wasn't afraid to just, kill characters.
Yeah.
It wasn't afraid
to hurt the main cast.
Yeah. And it wasn't afraid to be very, very, very dark in its storytelling.
Yeah. And it was reiterated like several times throughout that the main cast is not immune.
Mm-hmm.
There is no plot armor.
Mm-hmm. And that was the appeal of it, of just, okay, you don't know what's going to happen. You tune into every episode stressed out because you don't know if the character you love is going to make it to the credits.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to say it's the best series of all time, that, I think it's...
I think it's overhated.
Yeah. I think it is a solid series. It is a series of all time that, it is one that, especially in season 1, broke into the mainstream in ways that very few anime did. Like, I know folks in the industry who are saying, like, when season 1 was coming out, between, like, the first quarter season 1, they're like, I haven't seen something get this much traction since Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Like, it was big. And that the hiatus between seasons 1 and 2 completely cut it off at the knees. It could have been bigger. But the fact there was, I think, a 5-year hiatus, obviously it was still very big. It didn't become nothing, it didn't fizzle, but it didn't capitalize on the momentum it had. It took too long.
Yeah. That and it taking so long meant that it gave people time to speculate. It gave people time to come up with their own, how much will this be, how much will this follow the source material? Will they change stuff here and there? Because, sometimes there will be stuff that changes between manga and anime. And yeah, I feel like people were just constantly... They had their own ideas of how they wanted the series to end, and the amount of time that the series took to reach that conclusion did not help.
Yeah. But it was a solid one. I think it was worth finishing.
I think so, yeah. I enjoyed it when I watched it. When I binged the series, it was a good watch.
Yeah. Are there any that you're looking forward to or hope that get adaptations?
Currently looking forward to Frieren and Apothecary Diaries, which are going to be soon.
Yeah.
Apothecary Diaries is in October, so
yes. Didn't they just release a trailer for season 3 like the other day, I think?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
I'm avoiding trailers on that like you were avoiding trailers for Fire Emblem. I just remember I saw a trailer pass my time and I was like, oh, cool. That's fine. Scroll past. Don't want to see it. But looking forward to it. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, hopping around a bit, we mentioned at the start that, while not for this model in particular, but that you do your own model art now and that you are an artist in general. And you actually sent me a couple pieces that you said you really enjoyed, and not all of them had titles. Or I should say not all of them had specific titles. So this first one here, the file name that was sent to me is just COM73, because yes, you do take commissions, and if you'd like to commission Luna, you should do so. But this is COM73. What is COM73? I'm not sure if this is an...
this is one of this is one of my friends. She commissioned me to draw her in the outfit of the I think it's the protagonist of I think it was the latest Rune Factory game. I think that's who it was. But yeah, it was meant to be as a little for their thumbnails and stuff for their stream and stuff, and very difficult one, especially considering I have never drawn bird feet before.
Yeah, that was one of the things that caught my eye.
Feathers.
Yeah. To see the, initially just top half, okay, yeah, wow, that, has really neat hair, and I didn't even notice that they were feathers at first. But then you'll look down and say, those are bird feet. And then you look up and go, wait a minute, that long hair, that's not hair, it's feathers. I love that effect. I love that design. You said this is one of your friends. What's their name? The VTuber name, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's V for Velcro. There.
Fine, I'm just gonna... There we go. Yeah. So you mentioned that you hadn't had to actually draw bird feet before. So did you end up using references, or was it just at least the shapes here are relatively regular, and that you just worked off of their model? And I guess, how difficult or not difficult was it to do that for the first time?
I worked off of their references because there is some level of if I were to go off of a realistic reference, I will end up drawing it too realistically, and thus it will give the entire piece this sort of uncanniness to it. Which is that was a very important part, is making sure it wasn't like a little too much.
Yeah.
But I have this very fun skill that works with live drawing, where I am really good at drawing what is in front of me. So give me a decent reference, I will be able to copy it.
Is that something that you feel you've always been able to do? Was that, even when young Luna was taking first art classes, that have you always had that knack for replication, or is that something that you sort of discovered along the way?
I have had that ability since the very early art class days. I don't know how, but yeah, I'm really good at drawing all that's in front of me.
How far into art classes? Because I don't know necessarily where you grew up, but that at least for me, that I had to take some basic art classes throughout early elementary school and one or two in middle school. And when it came to visual art, it was not my forte. It was just not something that I super enjoyed. I didn't hate it, but as soon as it became optional, I tended toward the music and performance arts more so than the visual arts. How early on or late did this type of art end up becoming a particular interest to you?
For me, it was very much in my tween years. So basically at the very start of high school, which is, I guess, middle school for Americans. I remember just we got an assignment in our class where we had to I think it was we had to crush up a can and then draw what was in front of us and color it. And I was able to capture it really, really well. To this day, I don't know how I did it, but I was able to capture the colors, the shape, the shadows really, really well. My teacher's only critique on it was just darken the shadows just a little bit more. Otherwise, this is really, really good.
And it was clearly something that you enjoyed. So when did you end up starting to take, I suppose, additional non-required art classes? Did you end up doing that pretty quickly? Or was it you certainly enjoyed art with what was already required in your schooling, but I guess to what degree did you end up having more formalized art education beyond the requirements?
Funnily enough, I'm pretty much self-taught. It was around that time that I was having fun with these little things that we had to do. But I was like, I kind of want to figure out more, and I've been really liking, the anime style a lot. So I slowly started to take my replication skills and draw a lot of artworks online, different characters, and that's how I learned stuff like shadows, like blending with pencils, because I was doing all this with pen and paper,
Mm.
and it it helped me learn a lot of the fundamentals. Um, and it's kind of it led me to taking more art focused classes during college, and in university I did a game arts degree.
And I guess what makes it a game arts degree versus a arts degree?
We learn about game character design, character creation, learning the importance of silhouettes with designs, and feed that into concept art. Learn how to translate it all into environment art um and make pre-renders essentially, where it's all made in Adobe After Effects, essentially making like a mock-up of how it would all fit together in a game. And then from that, we learn 3D as well, and 3D rigging, 3D animation, and building all that together to create 3D environments for a game.
How much did the 3D rigging knowledge come into play, or I suppose how much did it translate when it came to Live 2D? That when you fell into VTubing and discovered that, were you able to open Live 2D, and even if you didn't have full knowledge because it's a different program, did you find any of the skills transferring, or at least perhaps the mentality with which you approached it?
At first, not at all, but as I got more into Live 2D, learning more advanced stuff, it really, I started seeing like little bits of 3Ds, like weight painting, bleed a bit more into it, and how it's like, oh, okay, so it works like that. Okay, I have a frame of reference. That's perfect.
And what was the first VTuber model that you did the art for and rig? Was it yours first for both, or did you end up doing a commission first?
My first VTuber model, I drew myself. I tried to rig it, but I failed because I did not look into proper tutorials, and I jumped straight into the deep end with VTuber models instead of learning how Live 3D works. So this is a very fun story. At the time, I had pre-ordered a figurine of an Arknights character, but that pre-order, because of COVID and stuff, had been pushed back a lot. It had been delayed by about 6 months, and despite the website not offering, they didn't offer refunds on pre-orders. Because of the circumstances, they were like, okay, yeah, no, that's fair. We're gonna give you a refund on this. And I took that refund money and I put it towards paying one of my friends for a model rig. And that's how I got my first VTuber model. The first one that I actually rigged was also my model, where I wanted to, it was a 1.5 model, as I like to call it, version 1.5 Luna, where I wanted to see what I could do, and the style between the two models is very different as a result.
And you do commissions for everything, that you do both art and rigging commissions. You do half body, full body, also just obviously normal art pieces. What would you say you end up doing most of? Like, what are the most common requests? So I'm not going to ask you what's your favorite to do, what do you think you're best at, but in terms of what other people end up asking of you, what do you find is most common nowadays?
Live 2D rigging and half body illustration. Those are my two most popular services, really. Which is kind of interesting because I never went into rigging thinking it would be like the main thing I would get into, but lo and behold, here I am.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would say I'm better at rigging than I am with model art.
Oh, wow. The fact that
Yeah.
it's actually gone that far.
hmm
And here we have Senna, and it says something princess, slightly obscured by the very...
Princess.
Okay, so it is just Golf Princess, and I can't tell
Yeah.
if that's a warhammer or another large weapon, but very large weapon and fire hair.
It's a big, big hammer. Yeah, that's of Senna, a character from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and her catchphrase is "I'm the girl with the gall." So that's where Gold Princess comes from.
Mm. And this one is Com 94, so someone asked you to do this, and that must have been a very exciting commission to take then of just, oh,
It was.
you mean you're going
Yeah.
to pay me to draw Xenoblade Chronicles? Don't mind if I do.
Exactly. It was a very fun one.
Was there anything particularly challenging about this one? Because we have the sort of leather-esque armor. There's the hammer. I'm not sure. Is there any extended art of this where there's the rest of the hammer, or is it contained to what we have here?
No, it's just contained to that, but it was very detailed. I had to study up on rendering gold, which was fun, and the weapon itself is incredibly detailed, so I had to pull up a 3D model for it to be able to draw over that.
Mm.
Mhm.
And that it's sort of a comic cover style, it seems, because it has the number one. It's Takahashi. And then I do like the best girl Senna.
Yeah, it's inspired by an old comic, I think it was, that the client sent. It was Xena, warrior princess.
Xena that makes
Xena, yeah.
sense. Oh, I see it now. Oh, that's a good pun. Oh, that's very witty. I like that. That's very good. Oh.
Yeah, that's where it all came from.
And this next one is another from Xenoblade, and it didn't say calm. And that it's just, we have Pyra. So was this one you did just for yourself, or was this also a commission?
Yeah. This was for myself, yeah. It's Pyra in her brand new outfit from Switch 2 edition, and I saw the outfit, I was like, I have to draw her, because I've not drawn her in a while, and I wanted to see how fast I could crank out a piece of art. I had to be among the first.
How long did it end up taking?
About 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like I said, I am not a visual artist, so I really have no frame of reference, but because of that, I just basically regard all visual artists as magicians. Just,
Yeah.
you could have told me this took 4
reference-
weeks, and I would have been like, wow, that's still great, but just 4 hours. When you get to that point, that's just actual superpowers.
Yeah, for frame of reference, the Senna one was about 18.
Oh, wow. And then
Yeah.
that...
Don't worry, not in one go,
So-
not in one go. That's just time on the canvas.
And
That was spread across about a week.
when were the two pieces made in relation to each other? Was the Senna one...
Side by side.
Oh, okay. Mm. And then what about this one? This was the last one you sent, and it's Versusi. I'm probably butchering the name, but I'm guessing because this is your design, I think, combined. And I think this was a Grand Blue character.
Yeah, this is it's for my cover of Versusia. I drew that myself. And it's me in the clothing of Jita from Grand Blue Fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have the different expressions here. And is that cover out now, or is that upcoming?
Yeah. That came out earlier this year, I believe. Yeah. It's on my YouTubes.
Mm. You had also mentioned to me that you've been doing a bit more singing lately.
Yeah.
So very exciting that you've been able to do that and obviously combine your interests there, that you're able to just be the one-stop shop, that you are one of the most powerful types of content creators the one who can just literally say, fine, I will do it myself. The art, that's fine, I got that. The singing, sure. Do you do your own mixing, or do you have someone for that?
I have someone for that. Unfortunately, I have not gotten there yet.
Yet. Keyword yet. We've been at this now for a little over 3 hours, and I don't want to keep you too long because I know it's getting a little bit later for you. I have just a couple last questions that I ask all my guests.
Yeah.
One is, do you have any goals for the rest of the year? So we're here in the middle of August, so a couple months left, some time to get some projects done. And obviously, I don't need you to announce or reveal anything that is still being held back, but do you have any goals, whether it be, I want to do this type of project, or I want to release another cover or do an event, anything you're hoping to accomplish before we hit 2027?
My main goal, because initially when I started out this year, my goal was to hit Twitch partner, which I felt was mildly unreal, and yet it somehow happened.
We regret to inform you, you were wrong.
I was very wrong. But the other thing was to post 5 covers, and I think I have currently finished recording for my 4th, so it's looking likely. Likely I will hit my other main goal.
We're not at the 80% of the year yet. You're on schedule. I won't ask what the 2 unreleased covers are. I will ask, have you decided what the 5th cover will be? Don't tell me what it is, but do you know what it will be?
I know what it will be. I'm terrified to record it, though.
Cool. Is that, again, obviously, without revealing too much, is that because the vocal range goes to very difficult places? Is it because perhaps the lyrics
fast.
or the rhythm? Oh, it's a fast one. Okay. And all of these are solos, I believe, right? Or was there...
No. One of them, I have said publicly, that one of them is a duet.
Ooh, how exciting.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that's definitely very realistic, that obviously, the most difficult one is always going to be the first. Of just figuring out, all right, how do you do it? What's the style? Getting it done, getting it out the door. And that it's not necessarily going to make numbers 2 through 5 easy, but they will inevitably be easier than the first, because you at least have your proof of concept. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing and hearing numbers 4 and 5 before the end of the year.
Thank you.
And the last question I ask all my guests is, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not what is the definition of a VTuber, but different people get different things from VTubing. Different people do VTubing for different reasons and experiences. Some people say it's to get in touch with my inner child. Others say it's a tool as an entertainer, and that I might not have a deep connection to my model. And, I'll write a little bit of lore, and I think it's okay, but it's not it's a vehicle with which I can entertain and have creativity, not necessarily that I want to fully emulate this character on a deep personal level. And there's things in between and beyond those. There's not one right way to be a VTuber. But for you, Luna, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Being a VTuber, it's something that has kind of become something very special to me. It started out as something of, me wanting to make content because I had tried different avenues such as edited videos and stuff, and that was just a lot of effort I couldn't keep up with for what was kind of diminishing returns. And so live streaming felt like something to try, and it just clicked. But then it started to slowly evolve into a way that I was able to essentially live out my childhood dreams of making art, from having my art and music videos singing for people, talking to others about games that I loved, and getting to finally check out games from my childhood that people had been going on and on and on about that I just never had the chance to.
I always ask that question at the end of a show because while I never know exactly how someone will answer, the answers make sense, that there's a certain consistency to the way that people carry themselves, or the stories and the topics that mean things to them and how it relates. And sometimes it's pretty one-to-one and obvious. Sometimes it's a bit more roundabout. But like I said, there's consistency, and I definitely see that with you, of the various types of art that you do and the creativity that you have, and just your desire to put these types of things out into the world, on top of the interest in games, whether it be Xenoblade or any of the others. Yeah. And like you were saying, being able to go back and play some of the ones. And like I mentioned, I'm very excited to see you reach the end of Twilight Princess, and look forward to seeing what you end up doing next. And it has been such a joy to chat with you today. These 3 hours have just flown by. That
it really has.
It's one of those where I glanced down at the live time on OBS and go, oh, whoa, we're at 2 hours, 15 minutes. That happened very quickly. I should probably speed up a bit and make sure to get to the art that you sent me. As I wanted to make sure that we got to that. So I recognize we kind of flew through a bit of it there, but I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. This has been so much fun. And now I actually have one more question. Some say it is the most difficult question I ask on this show, so I hope you're prepared. Who would you like us to raid?
I have the perfect recommendation of someone who is currently playing through Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Aha! Perfect. Well, while we get that all set up, folks, thank you to everyone who's been watching. Mr. Joe, thank you so much for the follow. I saw that coming a while ago. Really appreciate it. And whether you have been lurking or chatting around since the pre-show, or found yourself stumbling in one way or another as we got here, I really appreciate you taking time to be here with us. If for some absurd reason you're not already following Luna, please be sure to do so. Gave her a shout out just a minute ago. Her links are also in the channel panels on Twitch and in the video description on YouTube. The VOD will naturally be up on YouTube automatically for when the one here on Twitch expires. And if you're interested in more shows like these, or the occasional game stream of mine, you can follow me here on Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky, and Twitter, the usual places. I cannot offer you any sort of regularity. My schedule's a little hectic. I do my shows scheduled around the guests' availability. This is a morning show for me. I've done other ones afternoon, late at night. It varies. And the gaming ones are basically always guerrillas. Every so often I will have a schedule, but I'm a casual content creator. The channel is unmonetized. I do this because I enjoy it. And whether you are here just for Luna today and never come back again, or if you want to come back again, I do appreciate you being here for any amount of time. And we're going to be raiding into Pizza Arias. Now, I haven't actually seen them before, so looking forward to seeing. That's part of also the reason why I like having the guests choose where to go, that it means that I get to see new folks. So again, Luna, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. Appreciate you taking the time out. And to everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting Luna. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.